What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking with the up-and-coming poker tournament legend, Twitch streamer extraordinaire. Seems like he's playing poker streaming every single day of the week. My boy, ALLinPav. What's going on, guys? Join your one, aka Chicago Joey here. Welcome to the Poker Live podcast. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube right now. We got some big podcasts coming up, guys. Today we got Pav. Tomorrow we have Jared Jaffe, who is more of a live player, tournaments, cash games, but he told me that has some shots to fire, so I don't know what to expect. We're going to see what happens. Next week, the legend Barry Greenstein returns to the podcast, one of the most wisdomatic guests we've ever had in the history of the podcast. That's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern time, Monday. Tuesday, we got the AlphaReg, Big Bad Berkey, one of my favorite people to talk with. He's going to be on the show 2 p.m. Eastern time. And then my girl, Poker Sasha's coming on the podcast, the PLO monster herself. The girl who, she's a beast, man. One of my favorite people, one of my best friends in poker. She'll be on the podcast next week. And then the next Monday after that, on the 20th, we have High Stakes Poker Stars regular Born to Tilt from Belarus, one of the top cash game players in the entire world. These guys online been crying for me to get some high stakes cash game guys on. So we got to have Born to Tilt on. And this guy is definitely one of the top players in the world right now. But that's it. Let me get after it. Joining me today on the podcast, guys. Listen, man, this is a young man, one of my favorite up-and-comers in the poker world. I've been calling this guy a young legend in the making since I met him, since he joined the Grind Nation. And my God, this kid's not fucking disappointing me at all, my friends. This is one of the, you guys know I got a lot of respect for people that work really hard out there. And this kid not only works hard, grinding pretty much every single day. I don't know if I haven't seen him take too many days off since I met the kid. Also, streaming this entire process along the way, as he calls it. You get to see somebody go from the bottom to try to make his way to the top. And from, it's a rare mindset quality to have, to want to be one of the best players in the entire world. And then also showing your process along the way. And when you look at the guy's graph, the graph is fucking awesome. Okay, I'm going to show the graph here. I just want to show people what we're working with here in terms of lifetime graph to give you a little bit more perspective about today's guest here. So let's see. All right. Yeah. Now you guys can see a little bit here. Actually, that's probably the wrong screen. You don't want to see the chat here, but all right, let me load it up here. So here's Pav's lifetime graph. You'll kind of notice right here, starts off breaking even before the Twitch, and then a little tournament score, and then it just loses its goddamn mind, goes up $320,000 right here. So we're going to talk about Pav. How does he go from break even right here, pre-Twitch, to all of a sudden dominating? And not even any really, like, we see some big scores in there, but this is just consistent crushing right here. You guys see this graph? This is what I call graph porn, and I'm pretty excited about it. This is for 2019 still here. A very beautiful graph as well. But yeah, guys, I'm very happy to finally get on the Poker Live podcast. ALLinPav. What's up, Pav?
What's up, Joey?
To the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
I went a little coming, I guess. That intro, buddy, but that I felt like
that was beautiful. I wanna save that one. I like it.
Yeah, I had to do the intro right, because I feel like there's been, and also I missed out new Party Poker team online, Party Poker Pro as well too.
Yeah, for the last almost 3 months now.
And from Australia, living in New Zealand right now, correct?
Yeah, living in Auckland, New Zealand, from South Australia.
South Australia. Did you start taking poker seriously when? Because I believe you started streaming on Twitch right before we started Grind Nation a few years ago, and then we wanted to find a couple Twitch guys that were up and coming, and I think this was Doug's doing. I don't actually, not Bulero and you, two really strong options right there for
Doug selected well. I mean, he has an eye for that stuff, I guess. But yeah, I think it was November of 2015 when I first started streaming, or like around then. I think maybe my Twitch account was created like earlier in 2015. Yeah, I didn't really know what Twitch was up until like maybe January, February of 2015 when Nananoku posted a link on Facebook saying that he's going live. And I was like, what's this? Opened it up, and he wasn't live at the time. I think he was hosting Jamie Staples, and I watched him for a bit. And yeah, I think I watched Twitch like every few days a week. And then Jamie hosted Kevin one day, and then that's Kevin Martin for those who don't know. And yeah, I started watching him, and I was like, maybe I can give this a shot. It looks pretty fun. And I did it initially just because it was really fun. I didn't really have any plans. And yeah, here we are, almost 4 years later.
So before that, you were still playing poker? Because obviously on here it has a lot of tournaments on the Shark Scope, but you weren't necessarily a winning poker player at the time.
No, I was probably like slightly winning, break even, if I suss it here. But it was all for fun, really. Like, I think I was playing cash games mainly, 25 and 50 and 0. But yeah, I think I was up for the first 5,000 games. I was up $100 in tournaments.
Jesus.
So yeah.
So yeah. When do you decide to start taking poker seriously in terms of playing consistently and then studying and working at your game?
Probably 2 or 3 months into streaming on Twitch, because when you begin streaming, you do it just for fun, and it quickly turns into something. It brings this like competitive mindset out of you because you have the chat every day judging every decision you make. And even today, like when you make like pretty decent decisions, you have a bunch of idiots who tell you like you're doing it wrong. So there's always been this mindset that I want to kind of prove them wrong, and I guess prove to myself. And yeah, you know, it kind of encourages you to stay on top of your game when you stream it on Twitch. And yeah, so I'd say I probably starting 2 or 3 months into it. I remember the turning point for me was like, I think it was maybe exactly 3 months into streaming. I played the 1K thrill on Stars, and I sold like 90% of action, and yeah, I had like 10% on myself, and I just played it horrendously. I don't even know how. I think I maybe played less than 100 hands before I got knocked out of the tournament. And I played like one hand particularly awful, and it was like 3-bet, C-bet, check call, check fold kings on deuce 3, jack 8, 8, something stupid like that. And I was just playing scared money, right? And I remember the chat was so freaking ruthless that day. And I was just so determined to prove them wrong. And that was a day where I started doing the simple things right. And that's what a lot of people, when people ask me like, oh, how do you improve your game? What do? You already know the answer. Most people know the answer. They're just too fucking lazy to do it, Joey. You got to just do the simple things right. You know, for one, learn how to use IrEgption, sign up with a training site, invest money to make money. Like, what are you guys doing? Spending every fucking day watching YouTube videos, watching Twitch, and then saying, why am I not getting good at the game? What's going on, Pav? It's because you're watching me every fucking day. You're watching other people. You gotta pay for real content to get good at the game. You can't just waste your time looking for shortcuts. And that's what people do. That's what most poker players do. They look for shortcuts these days. You got to just chill, invest money to make money, and take it day by day. You're not here to rush anything. You know, 4 years later, I'm still not rushing anything. I'm just taking it day by day. You got to fall in love with the process if you want to be successful.
This is why I love Pav. So Pav's an interesting approach to poker because it reminds me of myself a lot in that, and I felt like maybe this was going away with some podcast guests or some people in poker in general, is that a lot of people don't really aspire to become one of the best these days, it seems like. And for whatever reason, I mean, understand it's very hard, very challenging. It takes that everyday consistency, but not really a mindset I'm seeing too much lately. People are sort of content with the spot that they've gotten to in terms of being at mid stakes or having some success, or maybe their prime was in the past and now, you know, kind of they're whatever, doing other things, stuff like that. But it's not a very common mindset thing. But this is something that you always preach on a lot of the stuff that you talk about, is you say, I'm here because I want to become one of the best, and I want to move up stakes. I want to have the results, and I want to become one of the top players.
Yeah, so that's pretty accurate. I mean, I feel like if you're going to exceed at something, it's best to do it in the best way possible. You know, you don't want to just half-ass it.
So what do you think? What do you think half-assing it means?
I think a lot of people know what it means, right? It's like whatever you think you could be doing more that you're not doing, that's half-assing it. You know, if you keep, like, deep down, everyone knows, like, I could probably give this a better shot. I could probably wake up earlier. I could probably spend a little bit more time studying. I could probably stop being such a nit and invest more money into training sites. You know, there are plenty of ways to go about it. Maybe I could stop hanging out with friends and getting drunk every weekend. Maybe I could reduce that to once a month instead. You know, just baby steps, not looking to stop everything at once. You can still have fun in life, but if you really want to exceed at something, then stop bitching about it and just do it.
Right.
There's no shortcuts.
Yeah, I think a big thing you said is just kind of eliminating the distractions, and I would consider distraction towards becoming the best you can be at poker is a big thing, is what you said, especially for 20-year-old guys out there, is the whole entire going out drinking with the friends. because those have a compound effect on you where it might just, you go out Friday night, but then Saturday night you're out of it. Sunday night you play like shit. Monday through Friday, you're trying to chase your losses from that Saturday, Sunday. So it's like this compound thing where you don't even realize how far some of these times set you back. And then once you get rid of those for a certain period of time and really go focused on poker and focused on just playing and study, you start to notice that your actual improvements start to become a little bit faster because you are focused in and you are locked in. And it seems like with your approach, that's the approach you're taking, man. You're streaming what, 6 days a week? You've been streaming pretty consistently?
Yeah, it's 6 days a week, probably. Maybe like 5.5 days a week I've averaged for the last year or so. So, I mean, I feel like the more you just do things over and over, the more normal it feels. And you kind of exit that mindset where it's like, oh, this is a job now. You just do it. You wake up and do it because it's your life. So I feel like training myself through that period of just grinding on the days you didn't want to grind, streaming on the days you didn't want to stream, it just becomes so much easier to stream on days you really can't be fucked doing it. You know, because it's already a part of the routine. You just do it. You don't care.
I think that's a kind of approach I'm taking right now with trying to work out in the morning time, right when I get out of bed. It's that I don't really want to fucking go to the gym when I wake up at 9 a.m. But I do understand that that builds a consistent habit and it builds consistent discipline that also applies to other things. And as you mentioned, which is the big thing, is that on the days you actually do want to do it, whatever that is, whether it's play or whether it's the gym or whether it's get the hell out of the house or something like that, for some people out there, the days that you do want to do it, you just feel so much better. You're so much happier about it. And the days that you don't want to do it, you just get your mindset to a point where you just fucking do it no matter what. It's not even an option not to do it, sort of thing like that. And I guess the downside of that, doing that in poker, is that you might lose a lot of money with this process. And for yourself, it does seem like you do have swings. You're pretty open about your results up there too. But what's one of the ways that you're able to mentally recover when you are losing and get yourself still in that place where, okay, whatever, I'm going to get back after it, even though I've been losing a little bit. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, well, I think the issue with that is a lot of people, they don't understand that if you're gonna play poker, you got to expect these downswings. You got to expect to lose. So how do you prepare yourself? For the most obvious thing is you study, you prepare yourself financially. So you follow bankroll management. You don't just blast off half your roll in a session and then complain when you're on a downswing. So when you prepare yourself with bankroll management, you know, how are the swings going to affect you? If you're playing, let's just say, like, for example, when I first started out in 2015, I had a $400 roll on stars, and I was playing no higher than like $1 and $2 tournaments. You know, I would not reg anything. Actually, to be fair, I think like my first week I played like a $3.50 rebuy and then binked it for 1,100. But apart from that, like I was always playing within 200 buy-ins and like doubling that for turbos and tripling it for hypers. So you just got to adjust yourself to the variance in the format you're playing. And once you do that, the swings aren't going to feel like swings because they're so minimal. It's like you go from losing 20 or 30% of your roll in one day to losing 3 or 4%. And it's not a big deal anymore. It's part of the game.
Yeah, that's certainly something that took me a long time to learn, because I was willing to put my entire roll in play most times. I would always lose, like, I'd keep like, you know, a few $1,000s left, but no matter how much I had between 5K and 50K, I was ready to lose all of that and get back to 5K no matter what. And I think that once you get past that and you realize, hey, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life, then you're able to start having some consistent success, assuming you are a winning player, of course, which is its own challenge, which you do make look pretty easy here, Pav. I feel like every time I see, even if it's on ACR, you're battling the bots. You're defending our country. You're defending, well, you're not technically our country, but you're defending the humans.
Yeah, I mean, the whole bot thing, I don't think I come across many in tournaments, to be honest. And I think they're a bigger issue in cash games.
Listen, buddy.
maybe I am the bot.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the whole entire bot situation on America's Card? Because that's a site, even though you are sponsored by Party Poker, you've had a lot of success at ACR, bro. You've killed it on there. So what kind of your thoughts on that whole situation?
Well, I mean, I don't pay too much attention to it, you know, because I feel like the bot issue is more of a cash game issue than a tournament issue.
Agreed.
I think in the past, I'm not sure if it's still an issue now, with ACR's late reg, what they would do would be a bunch of bot accounts would just fire in the last minute of late reg and then sit on each other's tables and then time out until they make the money. Or they just time bank until they hit the money, which is pretty smart. And I don't really know what ACR did to change that, considering they still have the same structures, they still have the same blind levels, still have the same late reg so they can reach the guarantees. So yeah, I don't know what they've done to counter that. I'm not sure if they've gotten rid of bot accounts or if they were reported or whatnot. Who knows? They probably know which accounts are. They just kind of don't give a shit.
Right.
You know, I don't know what they've really done to change that at least. You know, have they ever come out and said, yeah, this is how we fix problem X by doing this? I don't think they've done that.
Well, technically, Pav, when the CEO was in the podcast about it was last week, he said they have absolutely no idea what to do and no one will show them what to do. So that was exactly the word. I believe this was the word. They said, well, no one's showing us. What are we gonna do? Okay.
Phil Nagy's an interesting guy. I feel like he really does have a good heart, to be honest. I played on his table in Punta Cana a couple years ago in some 1650. And yeah, he's a recreational player. I feel like he's a pretty genuine dude all around, but when he answers questions about ACR, like it's just the biggest shit show. I feel like I watched that full podcast as well, and he was just jumping around to every question. Like you would ask him a question and he would answer by saying, I tell you what, Joey, I tell you what, this is what we're going to do. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you tell him what? Just answer the question. What is this bullshit? You can see the chat losing their mind. It was unbelievable.
That's true. I mean, I kind of got that vibe after about an hour in. I go, okay, well, we're not going to get the straight answer for the. It's like, what's your favorite food? He's like, let me tell you something. You know, I started eating when I was 13 years old, and I started eating food, and then we'd go to a nice farm, and one of my favorite farms here in Costa Rica is Jimmy's Farm. And Jimmy's Farm just had this great pizza, and this great pizza was just tough to eat. It was tough to eat. It tasted weird, but I ate the pizza, and I loved the pizza. And I would spend time with my grandma, and I really loved my grandma, and we had a great time with my grandma. And I just think that love and affection I have for my grandma is something that really helps me with the poker site. And you're like,
before you know it, he's giving himself a question, and he's answering his own question. You're like, where the fuck am I? What's going on?
Right. I'm like, am I asking the wrong questions? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, that was a shit show.
But no, I think you're right. I feel like he does have pretty genuine, especially once you see some of the other cronies he's got working for him. Some of these other ACR shills he's got on the payroll. These guys make Phil look pretty damn good. So it is what it is. I'm just led to believe, you know, he needs some more work in the lab or something. I don't really know, Pav. I mean, I guess for a major player on the site as you are, when you see something like that and you see the CEO come out here and kind of talk that way, what's your impression as a high volume player on the site who relies on that site to be able to make a pretty good amount of money?
Well, the most obvious thing is I don't keep much money on the site.
Smart.
I don't think I keep more than like $5,000 on that site at a time. Yeah, and I accept that the site could easily go down tomorrow. Simple as that. Like, just understand that it could go away, and it's most likely going to be a short-term thing.
Yeah, it's what people have been saying.
But who knows, man? But they've been saying that for 4 years as well now, so who knows?
Exactly. They've been saying that since 2012, 2013. Who knows? So
yeah,
you know, you do have to say that they do a good job in terms of paying the players out, and I think that we can do that.
They switched everything to I mean, yeah, because I withdraw via Bitcoin, so you know, I don't think I ever used direct bank wire. I'm not even sure if that's a thing anymore. I know it's not a thing to deposit, I'm pretty sure, and if it is, it's probably a select few countries, but I imagine everything is via cryptocurrency now because the site is pretty shady, right? You got to keep these transactions anonymous. They don't want to leave a paper trail, so that's what makes sense. I'm pretty sure that's like one of the pure reasons they got rid of. You think about it, like they got rid of card deposits. I'm pretty sure, for me at least, I don't have that option anymore. And I would imagine it's just because they don't want to leave a paper trail behind. It's just, I mean, I'm guessing they would lose a little bit more money that way, allowing less options, but maybe overall it protects them more.
Yeah, I never really looked into that part of the site, and I feel like there's so many things to look in on the site, and then that's just one site, and you have other sites out there, and you get other messages from people and stuff like that too. And you know, you're signed as a team Party Poker Online pro right now, and kind of what does that really mean in terms of what that looks like? Are you getting extra promotion from Party Poker, or what exactly are the perks of being a team online member?
Well, apart from getting paid, the perks are, you know, being a part of a being a part of a team of poker players who all do the same thing as me, stream and play poker, all have the same goals, which is pretty cool. Representing a site that I have most of my volume on right now as well. Like I played 100,000 hands on Party this year. I started playing on Party it was like late last year before they had their major update. So like their tables are like really terrible. 2 years ago, I barely played on there. Then they had an update, and last year I played a little bit on there, and then they had another update where I was like, fuck, this actually looks pretty legit. So I started moving a lot of my volume to there, and now it's like maybe a quarter, 15 or 20% actually of my volume is on Stars, and then the rest is on Party and ACR. So yeah, I just like where they're heading. I like the very MTT heavy lobby. You know, it's pretty decent for all players out there. You know, they got decent rake back as well. I played a bit of their fast cash games, which is essentially Zoom fast forward. It's called. So yeah, I'm enjoying it though.
Yeah, I think that used to be a big goal of a lot of poker players, was to get sponsored by a major poker site. Well, it was PokerStars for sure. This was really before Party was. I don't think Party was doing too many of those things like that. And now it's kind of cool to see. You know, a lot of the guys that were on Stars moved over to Team Party Poker, and then now Stars just signed some new streamers who are sort of up and coming guys who are, you know, maybe that Pav and Bulera circa 2015 sort of position here in terms of where their careers are at right now. So I think it's pretty cool to be able to see those opportunities still exist for streamers out there as well. And, you know, when you talk about being a part of a team, do you feel like Team Party Poker is a well-oiled unit of team right now? Or?
Yeah, I do. We've got Jamie and Jeff in our Discord group, and they pretty much handle everything. Like Jamie's extremely professional with this stuff. I was really surprised. Like whenever you need a question answered, they're super on top of things. It is a very well-oiled machine. For the moment, at least, from what I'm seeing, it's very sick. But yeah, it's interesting with Stars now picking up a bunch of smaller streamers, which is good for poker all around. Like I love it. You know, it's great for the ecosystem. It's great for the game. But I don't know if that happens, if Party don't pick up these new streamers. So Party getting into the game now has now invested Stars to get into the game of these smaller streamers. So I think it's a win-win all around. Some healthy competition, you know, more paychecks going around. It's better for the climate of poker. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I don't think they would have done this if
no.
There's no. Come on. There's no chance. They pretty much kept the status quo for a very long time in terms of their strategy with Twitch streamers for PokerStars. And if we don't see some of the biggest streamers on PokerStars go over to Party Poker, then I don't think whether, you know, maybe we can argue they wouldn't have needed to revamp their strategy and sign these streamers if they already have a nice contingent of these bigger guys on there too. But once you lose those bigger guys, and also now you have Lex to leverage, so Lex can send audience people to these new streamers and build these up to be competitors to the people who left PokerStars to go to Party Poker. So I kind of understand where they're coming from with it. And as you said, I think it's great for all around just to have that hope as a streamer that, well, maybe I can get signed to one of the sites, you know, 888, or maybe, you know, Bulero's on the Natural 8, maybe that would be a site, or Party, or maybe PokerStars. So I think anything more that we can give in terms of just a hope or a goal or a dream for some streamers out there, then I think this is a cool thing to have, and more opportunity is better. I stand by that. Yeah. I like that. I like that. More opportunity is better. Are we in agreement on this?
Yes, 100%.
More rake is better. I'm not in agreement on this, man. Yesterday I was talking with.
You were waiting for that one, weren't you?
Yeah.
I feel like every podcast, Joey, you just wait for that moment, you just slip it in, and then you pull back and you sit on the fence, and then you let subjects speak about it for a bit while you just sit there and laugh. And then there you go. That's a bit of your pod covered.
Well, I'm curious what the guests think about it. Yeah. You know, my thoughts on there. I'm already fucking pissed about it. You know what I'm saying? I can't get angry every single time it comes out. Mm-hmm. I can't just start ranting like goddamn madman going crazy, losing my mind. Like this is the ACR bot situation on that topic. But turns out, Pav, that's a pretty good podcast strategy to use for a lot of topics.
No, it is. It is very good.
Actually, yesterday, I was going back and forth with the ACR representative, one of the ACR shills, and I don't know, you know.
I saw that on Twitter. Who was that guy? That was weird. That was a weird conversation, Joey.
I have no idea who this guy is. I've never heard of the guy before yesterday. I don't know who the guy is. He claims to be, I think he's one of the legendary 11 security members for the Winning Poker Network. The guy, if you take a look at Negreanu's replies yesterday when he made that thread about something about that was basically saying like, listen, poker players, you're fucking lucky that you guys are even allowed to win any money. The house could be taking way more. And here's why: sports betting and this other thing like that. So if you take their replies and switch and just put the name, blank the name, you would not know if this is Negreanu saying this or if this is the ACR shill saying this. And now this ACR shill, I don't know who I've honestly never heard of the guy, Pav. And now this guy is like, I put up a thing. I got 3 cents back, Pav.
Yeah.
My first refund from ACR, Pav. It's three. I'm not 3 cents. I'm not joking, guys. 3 cents. Okay.
I got a question, Joey. How much did you play? What stakes are you playing? How many hands did you play?
With the bots?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you know how many bots you played with?
I have countless bots. I play with at the 50-cent dollar up to 3-6, tens of thousands of hands. The biggest winners in my database are alleged bot accounts.
Yeah. So you've raked a bunch. That makes no sense. So you'd get 3 cents back.
So what I'm led to believe is they didn't actually get rid of those accounts. They got rid of some other accounts. So one of the accounts I think was this 5-cent, 10-cent bot who I would go play with because I just wanted to play with the bot at low stakes. So I would, anytime he'd be by himself, I'd go play him heads up. So I got back 3 cents from this fucking guy. So that's great.
So do you think the only reason you didn't get refunded a good amount is because they didn't kill these bot accounts? So they could only refund the money they had from these other bot accounts and they picked the low stakes ones instead?
I think that that's a good question. I don't, who knows? And certainly the ACR shill didn't really explain. He started talking about, all right, if you think you should get back more, show me the data. Like
he got offended, didn't he? I was like, what? That's not very professional.
That's what I'm like, bro. You've got the fucking data, bro. What do you? Did you not see the 4 videos I made on the subject out there? I put the data in the videos. I sent 30 accounts at Pop in Omaha to your boy Phil Nagy and put it in a video. Like what? That's the fucking data, bro. Where were you? Like, where was he at the past 14 months? This fucking data expert, Pav. What was he doing with the data past 4? All of a sudden, a streamer streams a bot for 30 minutes. He's like, oh, I got some data now. There's my data. It's like, all right, buddy. You know,
that is weird considering that heads up stream to expose the bot was like to a couple hundred viewers, whereas your video got thousands of views. So it's kind of weird what woke them up. That it was a heads up in a tournament as opposed to thousands of hands played in 3, 6, 2, 4, 1, 2, whatever it might be, where they would where the customers losing more money that way through cash games. So it's a little bit fucked up that they woke up during that one heads up match, that clip that went viral, I guess.
Thank God that clip went viral because now they just refunded players.
Yeah.
Did you get a refund back, Pav? Because I know
nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
I got nothing. So I mean, I'm guessing tournament players didn't get anything, and if they did, maybe they're playing low stakes. I don't play anything under the 22s. I mean, on ACR I play 55s plus pretty much. So maybe it was more effective for the low stakes players.
Yeah, what I feel like they're doing is they sort of just like put the accounts in there. They say, okay, how much should this account win or lose with this bot? And then that's what they do, rather than how much volume and how much EV was taken away from these players. How much can we divide up the money in terms of who played the most hands with these accounts?
Yeah, but you can't. That seems impossible, does it? To like calculate the EV in every hand you played with that bot. It seems like impossible. But I feel like there is a better way they could have handled it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I don't think they can necessarily go upon who's obviously it's rewards people that did lose a lot of money to these guys, and you haven't lost a lot of money, guys. Okay, if you play with the guys, you ain't losing in those tournaments, so it makes sense why you wouldn't get anything back. But also, I do believe these guys are only at the tournament players say these are at the small stakes tournament. So if you're playing the $55 and ups against some of the real players on there, might not be a big of an issue for you as it would be. Sasha says you wouldn't believe where I'm at. Where are you at? Are you at the ACR headquarters right now, Sasha? Yeah, she was getting back into it. I guess what's your main average buy-in now, Pav? What's kind of on a daily basis? It seems like you're swinging. The other day you had 10K in buy-ins or something like that. I mean,
I mean, there's new highs this year. So last year my biggest loss in a session was like 3.5K, and now my biggest loss in a session is 7.5K this year. And my biggest buy-ins last year was I think 7,500, and my biggest buy-ins this year is 15,000 on a Sunday. So the stakes have definitely increased this year. I'm playing all the 530s. I'm playing quite a few 1Ks. But if you look at Sharkscope, my ABI is like $160 this year. But I think it's only 160. It should be higher, but it's lower because I'm playing towards the later part of the day where the games start dying and you have to start firing 22s and 33s and, 3K guarantees. So if I didn't fire them, the ABI would probably be like high 200s, I'm guessing.
So are you taking a lot of your action in these situations, or are you selling?
Yeah, I have 100%. I've never sold a piece of myself.
I'm telling you, man, you're a rare breed, Poppy.
You know what it is, Joey? I'm greedy, Like, I remember in 2016 when I first started streaming, some bloke staked me for like $800 in tournaments, and I maybe took like 20% of it. And I remember playing these tournaments, like I finished 5th or something, and I made him like a couple $100. And I was like, holy fuck, man, I would love to have all that money. Like, this is bullshit. I want all that money. So I'm too greedy to do staking. I'm not about that life. And I feel like if you're doing it all on your own, you work harder and there's a bigger reward at the end. So that's why I'm always like, I want to have 100% of myself.
So how are we adjusting to these days where we're losing 7.5 thousand in the day, Pav? Because I know that, I as someone who's lost 7.5K plenty of days as a regular grind, it drives you nuts sometimes. And especially if you let that nuts feeling go with you the next day and you lose another 7.5, it starts to add up kind of quickly. And with these tournaments, it would seem like it could snowball pretty quickly to a few bad days, but it doesn't seem like that really happens with you often.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, you're not going to feel those swings. Those swings are going to be a lot more minimal in terms of buy-ins than they are in dollar amount when you're following bankroll management. So like if you fire, like 0.5% of your roll per tournament, and if you want to fire a little bit higher on a Sunday because value's there, then go for it. But expect the swings, and the following day on a Monday, expect to drop back down to the stakes you can afford. Like if you get fucking smashed on a Sunday and you're not dropping down the following day, to fit your bankroll management or firing within 200 buy-ins, then you're doing it wrong. And the moment you fire for like less than 200 buy-ins in a regular speed tournament, like you've already told yourself, I don't want this game. I don't want to succeed in poker. You need to follow. There are certain rules you have to follow. And the moment you break those rules, you're just heading down the road of becoming a degen, and you're eventually going to lose that role. And the wrong mindset is there now. So like, it's not even about, like, I always tell my viewers, like, if you want to go, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna shot take this tournament, or when I really shouldn't, you've already lost. I don't give a fuck if you win the tournament. You've already went back a step with that mindset, because you don't want to ever enter that mindset. You want to stay within those rules I spoke about. The moment you leave those rules, like, you're just creating bad habits.
So what would you say those rules are? Would you say there's a few rules to this, or what?
I would say the number one rules for anyone in tournament poker or poker in general would be bankroll management, software, and studying. And game selection as well, right? Like, a lot of people bitch about these downswing and they say, oh, Pav, how come you never downswing? And it's like, what do you mean, how come I never downswing? The reason I don't swing in your mind is because of a few things, right? My average field size in tournaments is 400 to 500 players and not 2,000 players. So I'm not playing just one day a week on Sundays. I'm playing every single day, 400 to 500 players. I'm studying. So like, for one, I'm an above average player. I'm not making terrible plays. I'm not oversee betting some boards. I'm making well-balanced plays. On top of that, so yeah, that's about it. You got game selection, studying, and bankroll management. And you can't swing. You're not going to swing in disgusting amounts. And the times you do swing, you're already adjusting for the following day, aren't you? You're already firing back below what you can afford. You're not firing high so you can catch those losses. It makes no sense. Like, why would I give a fuck about catching? I lost 20 buy-ins one day. Am I going to catch those losses the next day firing up when I could win a tournament at the same stakes and like 40x my buy-in? It doesn't make any sense. People are trying to rush it. Why?
Well, that's
it's the same question, Joey. The same question every single day on Twitch. Like, how do I avoid swinging? How do I get better? They already know the answer. They know the fucking answer, man. They're just lazy. It's shortcut after shortcut. You'd be amazed with how much you can learn as a beginner. Even as a fucking like decent player, you'd be amazed with how much you can learn if you just download EquiLab. Free software. You just plug in one hand and then you put in like a 22% range and you put in some random flop. And then you say, fuck, this is how my equity looks versus bloke on this board. When you learn the simpler software, things just start falling into place. And you stop asking these like really sloppy, lazy questions that you already know the answer to. And you're like, holy fuck, maybe instead of me sitting here watching this guy and looking for shortcuts, I can just do what he was already doing and then get to that level.
That easy, huh?
That easy, man.
I mean, I don't disagree.
It really is that easy.
I don't disagree. It's that easy. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of consistency and a lot of effort and a lot of all those things combined for years. So I understand it's that.
No, it's not even that. It's not even years, Joey. It's not even that. I was a trash player. Like I was up $100 on my first 5,000 games in tournaments, right? So when I started streaming from November in 2015 up until maybe, I don't know, not even halfway through 2016, things started to click. I started making small adjustments. I started making money, right? Like I had a $400 life roll in 2015. And then when I got my life roll to 10 or 12K, I moved out of my parents' home. I got my own place, right? Because I needed that peace and quiet. There was like such high EV and just peace of mind and studying and in, you know, absolute silence. You know, it was beautiful. So I feel like it took me maybe 6 months, 7-8 months to realize, all right, things are changing here. I'm going through the right process. This is making sense now. I don't need to start asking questions anymore. It's all coming in slowly. You know, things aren't going to change the next day for you. I agree with that. But to say like 2, 3, 4 years, no fucking way, mate. 6 months is all you need. I was a trash player in 2015. And then, you know, not even a year later, I was still pretty trash, but I was making money and I could see the improvements. And that's what you need to see. All you need to do is see the improvements. And once you see them, you're golden. You don't ask these trash questions anymore. You don't waste your own time. You start waking up early. You start going to bed at the right time. You know, you start eating properly. To be fair, I still eat a fuck ton of Uber Eats, which I shouldn't, but I like to enjoy myself. And I'm lazy when it comes to cooking.
Sometimes you got to sacrifice something. You got to sacrifice work.
You got to give something, right? It can't all be perfect.
Exactly. Pretty sure my diet when I was grinding a lot was Doritos. Anyone that's seen that video where I had my shirt off, where I played 50,000 hands in a day, the food that was behind me on that table was my lunch and dinner.
That was filthy, mate. I've seen that. I love seeing that. It's so fucking authentic, right? It's like Joey back in the day. I love seeing that shit.
Yeah, people, you know, a lot of people weren't necessarily following poker in 2008, the online poker scene, so they don't know about some of the crazy prop bets I did in 08, 09. But yeah, I was, you know, that's why I have so much respect for hard work and work ethic, because I was such an animal back then. That's why it kind of comes out of me sometimes now, where I go on these spurts where for like 2 months, you'll be like, how the fuck does this guy sleep? And then I kind of, you know, whatever, lose a little steam for the game for a month or two, because nothing was quite like poker for me, bro. Because
well, from what I saw in the were you talking about back in the day? I thought you were talking about recently when you mentioned you went through like this little spiral of just having edibles and watching conspiracy videos, and that gave me a good laugh. I mean, that can get you, mate. The conspiracy videos, they're fucking entertaining, Joey.
They really are, bro. Then you start talking about the JFK and then the Illuminati, and you're like, man, is this? How does this all work? You know what I'm saying? You start questioning life and question the social hierarchy and the social structure of what the norms are. It can get you for a little bit. Plus the weed, definitely. It can get you.
I think that plays a heavy part.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Pav. That's true. Doesn't seem like you're fixated on that right now. It seems like you're pretty hungry in the grind mode. So what's sort of your goals right now you have for yourself in terms of where you want to get to with your poker game, or with your results, or with your average buy-in?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, it's pretty simple. Like, I just want to be the best player I can right now, but I don't have any specific goals. I just want to grind Twitch really hard and grind poker really hard, and you know, I guess eventually reach the top of Twitch. You know, I would love to be the #1 streamer. I don't care if it takes 10 years. Like, I'm going to grind 6 days a week. I'm going to try my hardest. I feel like that's something I have on my side, right? Like, I kind of have that don't give a fuck marathon attitude. I'm just going to keep grinding through it. Like, sure, if Lex wants to stay on top of the streets for as long as he streams, and he will be at the top, right? It's as simple as that. It's going to be very fucking tough for someone who averages 900 viewers to go to someone who averages 5K viewers and sometimes 20K viewers on the right days. So, like, I'm not going to reach those heights when he's still streaming, most likely. But what I do have on my side is that disgusting attitude, that sick mindset. I've got youth on my side as well. I don't have any commitments outside of poker, no girlfriend. I don't need that shit. I'm just so focused on making money right now and reaching my goals that I feel like that's a pretty good recipe for success. It's going to be tough to like I don't care how well you do. Let's just see if you can keep it up for 5 years straight, because I'll fucking do it. I don't care. I'll reach that goal. Like, here's the thing. When I start something, I'm not going to stop it until I reach the top of it. So, like, I'm very, very competitive. Like, I don't like it when I see Lex and Spraggy and Jamie and Jeff. And when I see them at the top of the listing, I don't like that, you know? Like, with my previous roommate, Henry Bolero, right? Mm-hmm. Like, him and I, we were always anti-sweating each other. We had this really, like, healthy competitive thing going on where like, you know, we're friends, but like at the same time, like if he's deep in a 500 and playing for like 40 Gs up top, I'm not going to be upset if he finishes 7th or 6th, right? I want to be that top guy, you know, and he's the same with me. Like I like that attitude that he has towards the game of poker on Twitch, right? I don't mind having to grind it out, but I do internally, like it does bother me seeing these other streamers above me. I do want to reach that level, and I will reach that level. And I think it's pretty healthy to have a competitive mindset to a degree. You know, it can be unhealthy at times, but I do believe it's healthy to have competition.
What do you think about the idea that people don't like to admit this? When I know that people feel this way, whether I talk to them behind the scenes, I know how they feel. A lot of them feel this way too, but a lot of them don't want to come out and say it like this because they don't want to get anyone else fired up, or they don't want to have anyone else thinking that whatever, you know.
I don't know. I don't get that mindset. Like, why not just say what you're feeling? You know, I feel like that's one of the things of my stream. You're going to come across like a very genuine streamer. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm not going to hold back when I read some dumbass comment. I'm going to just say it how it is, right? And if you say something stupid to me and you create this toxic vibe, I'm going to come right back at you. That's just how it is. And like, do you really think you're going to be remembered? Do you really think you're going to stay unique and reach the top if you just keep following these bullshit guidelines of staying inside your circle and being polite and shilling this bullshit? Just say it how it is. It's as simple as that.
Well, that's the approach I take, Pav. Not the approach I necessarily see out there for many people. I think it's just easier to not cause conflict or cause confrontation with people. And if people said what they really think, some of these people you just named, then there would be conflict because they'd be talking a little bit shit to people too. So I think that's why people sort of, okay, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to be, you know, PC, whatever you want to call it, politically correct.
Yeah, I mean, there are like approaches to speaking your mindset as well, though, right? You're not going to go ahead and just say, "Oh, this player's like this stream is trash at poker." You're not going to go that far, for example. You're gonna be within reason there. You're not going to just go over the line. But there are a lot of people that hold back in speaking their minds. Like you can speak your minds and upset some people without going too far. It's like what Doug says, right? You know, you're not going to be a public figure and expect yourself not to say things you believe in. Like you're gonna have to piss off a few people and, you know, speaking up for what you believe in. And like Doug is someone I really respect. You know, he speaks up for what he believes in. You know, contrary to what a lot of people believe that, you know, he's a shill and a terrible person and a bully, I don't believe any of that shit. Doug is like one of the most genuine, kind-hearted guys that I've met because I've spoken to him behind the scenes, right? And something a lot of people don't know is coming up in the game right before Grind Nation became a thing, right? And Doug was looking for people. He wanted to learn about like my poker game. He wanted to see what I needed to improve on. So he went out of his way and he was like, listen, send me like your hand histories and I'll go over them. I sent it to him. He calls me up with video chat on Skype. He loads up the hands and he's like, he basically just gave it to me straight. He told me what I needed to hear. He was just like, Pav, like, this is not right. Like, what are you doing here? And then he asked me, like, I remember he asked me a very simple question. And he said, Pav, do you know what equity is? And I was like, of course I know what equity is. He goes, but do you really know what it is? I was like, yeah, you know, like I was kind of like lying to him. Like I had an idea what it was, but you know, if I really knew what it was, I wouldn't be folding so many 3-bets, for example, right? And then like he was so honest with me. He was like, I remember like every hand he went over, I had said pretty much everything he had encountered before with students, where I would say, oh yeah, I would usually do this though. And oh no, I stopped doing that, you know, a few weeks ago. I'd usually do this. He was like, dude, like you don't need to impress me. Just it is what it is. Like you're not a great player, but you can be a great player. He just gave it to me straight. And from there, I was like, holy fuck. For someone who's like at the top of poker, right, and could be considered the best heads-up player ever back in the day, probably not anymore. You know, that meant a lot to me. So I wanted to prove to him, hey, like you didn't waste your time with me. I can reach this level now, and this is a really good start for me. So like, that was a fire starter, what Doug did. I got a lot of respect for him. And I'm not saying that I believe in everything he does. There are a lot of things he says and does that I don't agree with. But majority of what he does, I believe at least, comes from a good place. And he's not doing it for the views, as people like to say.
Well, obviously I would agree with you on this because this is a stance I've taken. I haven't agreed with everything he's done. Some of those things I've disagreed with publicly, and you know, it is what it is. It happens. But yeah, I feel the same way about him, man. You know, obviously, I think he gets a lot of haters out there too, or a lot of people that aren't fans of his approach, which I can understand where they're coming from too. But yeah, he's always been super helpful to everyone that I know in terms of like genuine. He's definitely one of the most genuine people I've met in terms of just help you out whenever. And I think we kind of see that with individually, and we also see that with the group too, is that he always asks questions. So we still have the group chat going on with, I think, you know, me, Bilero's in there, that B Paris, Cordy B's in there. I think Adrian kind of let you know he's in South Africa now or something.
Yeah,
like
what's he doing these days?
Man,
I like Adrian.
Life, bro. I don't know. He's living some South African
Yeah,
life.
I miss the days when Adrian would stream PLO cash games and he'd have some chick over. He'd be drunk making out with her. You'd be in the chat having a laugh. Like, those are good days, but now they're not there anymore.
Somebody said, why didn't he help Jay Nandez? Well, technically, he did help Jay Nandez start his entire brand and help him start his entire business and help make him a lot of money from Upswing Poker. So I wouldn't say he didn't help Jay Nandez. Definitely helped Jay Nandez.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking messy.
Yeah, that was
the funny thing about that is, like, Jay Nandez clearly breaches terms and conditions of his contract, and then people are giving Doug shit about being a bully. It's like, mate, a contract is a contract. What the fuck do you expect? It's Doug's business. It's his money. He's protecting himself. Like, where that's as far as it goes. That's it. You don't need to look any further into it.
Yeah, that was a situation before. I haven't thought much about that. I don't know what their legal status is currently with those two. I don't really know much about what what's going on with that guy. So I'm moving on. Question in the chat from GG. See you later, Daniel. Can you ask him about why he is so incredibly open about his financials compared to some other Twitch streamers? Does it give him an edge on the Twitch streets, or why is he doing it? Well, I have an idea personally, but Pav, why are you so open about your financials?
I don't know. I think when you have supreme confidence in your work ethic and you know that what you're doing is going to work, I think it's important to like it encourages me as well, right, to get better. I'm not going to just like show, like, for one, I'm not showing my bankroll. I'm not showing like my life or anything. All I'm doing is I'm showing my binds and cashes every day. I'm showing how much, I don't lock any stats on SharkScope. All of my results are there. And that's all you pretty much need to see. And I'm streaming every hand. But I feel like that offers a new dynamic to my stream, right? Like, not many streamers show everything. And there are certainly some that do out there among the top streamers. But, I mean, to show everything that I do at like pretty much the highest stakes, where I'm firing like 5K on average a day, like, I think it offers this new dynamic, and it's exciting to a new viewer. And also, like, when you have a recreational who comes to the game, and, they're not being bullshitted. They're seeing how it is, right? Like, Pav's going to have days where he loses 5-6K. He's going to have days where he could fire a fuck ton of money and lose a fuck ton. He can have days where they're just break even stretches. He can fire 5K and win 5.5K. He can make $500 for a day. Like, it's all real on my stream. And it's like a journey as well. 20 years from now, I can look back and say, I did that. I streamed pretty much every day. I didn't hold anything back. It was all public. And I went through all that shit, listened to the trolls, fought back on this. And this is where I got to, not giving a shit and just doing what I believed in. And yeah, it makes me proud. And, I get quite a few messages that it's pretty inspiring to other people through like Instagram and Twitter. A lot of people let me know that what I'm doing has helped them out a bunch, and it's a good feeling.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the people who talk about the attitude in terms of that fine line between the cockiness, the confidence, and sort of those things, cocky, confident, arrogant, sort of that? Because I've heard people say it about your attitude. I personally always really like that about you. So people said that, I go, well, I guess I didn't think about it, but it makes sense where they're coming from with this, because that sort of brash attitude, like, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to fucking do it. Some people are turned off by this. So what do you kind of think about and say?
I mean, people are going to be turned off if you're super polite as well, right? They're going to find something to complain about. Mm-hmm. But I do want to say something. There is a huge difference in confidence versus being cocky, and a lot of people mistaking confidence for not being humble. This whole humble movement is such a load of fucking trash, and I'm pretty sure like this word just became so much more common since the whole Khabib Conor thing. Since Khabib started growing in MMA and saying like, yo, you must be humble, blah blah fucking blah, right? Like, are you telling me that every fighter has not said, I'm going to knock you out? Every fighter has not said, I have supreme confidence in my ability to take you out. You don't think they want to sell pay-per-views and make money? Like, this whole be humble movement has just really gives me the shits, because a lot of people use it completely out of context nowadays, and it's just like, me saying something like, I believe I'm best on Twitch poker, if that really offends you, then you need to pick up a hobby, because that's fucking pathetic. That is pathetic. There are so many other responses and ways you can go about it than getting triggered over someone believing in himself. It is just ridiculous, you know? And these days, like, when I get these triggered people in my chat, I don't like to just get rid of them, but I like to just kind of play along with it and carry this ridiculous, outlandish personality. You know, you fire right back at them with more of that shit, because it's just funny. Because when you're streaming 8 hours a day, you get kind of bored, right? You want to do shit to piss off people as well. I find it fun being outgoing and loud and making these like really brash statements. It's good fun, and it's no surprise that people like that. You know, people like confidence. It's what builds channels as well. I'm not saying I'm doing it to build my channel. I'm doing it because it's fun and it's me, and there's no bullshit behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, like, when I say these crazy things, I now hold myself to a standard where I have to achieve this thing now. Otherwise, I look like a moron for saying it, right? So it's a win-win.
You are definitely putting the pressure on yourself, which I think could be a good thing for a lot of us. So, people in the chat said, how old's Pav? Pav, 26 years old, correct?
You're correct, mate.
26 years old. You started playing on Twitch. 21, 22?
22, yeah. 22.
And I guess the major, I think, highlight moment for you over the streaming career was when you guys put together a very classic old school poker idea, a grindhouse. You guys had was it Pilero, Patrick? Who else was in the grindhouse?
And Travis, Dramatic Legion.
Okay. Talk about the grindhouse you guys had it, and it was
fucking fun. I recommend anyone with the same goals in poker. You know, you're heading down the same direction. You're all grinding some amount. I feel like if you pick one person who doesn't, you know, live by the same goals, who doesn't put in the same volume, it's not going to make the place great. So, like, you got to be very careful with who you select in starting a grindhouse with. So, like, you know, it was pretty easy for me because I just picked 3 other streamers who all play poker. Like, there was no way I could go wrong there. But it was fucking awesome, Joey. You know, like, whenever we finish our grind, we chill out, eat, watch movies, talk poker. We wouldn't talk poker that much, but the times we did, like, you know, it was beneficial. But it was by far, like, probably the best 6 months of my life. You know, living with these guys, it was just a great laugh, and I'll probably do it in the future if we manage to make it happen. Depending on where that is, I'm not quite sure, but we did have it in Auckland. So, I mean, props to Henry and Patrick for traveling from Germany and Canada to New Zealand. And I know Travis was living in Vancouver at the time, but he was going to live in Wellington anyway, so it kind of worked out well for him. He just stopped by Auckland and spent 6 months here. But it was fun.
Yeah, I've had a few grindhouses in my career. Most were at the start. Now I'm a little old now, I think. But I used to have Jonah come out sometimes. So Joe, that was kind of like a mini grindhouse. But yeah, I'm definitely crushed with the grindhouses, bro. That's all my like best achievements in poker always came when I was living with somebody else, or we had 4 people in a building, or we had a house and then other friends had a house in San Diego. Those were the times that it's kind of crazy, the roommates I've had, because I remember my one roommate in San Diego was this guy named Ben. My first roommate kind of flamed out, unfortunately. Shout out to KKK. He had to go back. That was his name. I mean, like, it's his nickname, KKK. It is what it is. So cool, Chris Shipley. It's what we like to call him. And he couldn't make it, fortunately. So he moved out, and I got a new roommate I found on 2+2. This kid named Ben Geisman. And he was playing 20%, 50 cent dollar heads up on PokerStars. And on full tilt, he would sit all the sites and stuff like that. And the kid be in the living room every fucking day. Every day he'd be playing, every day, studying every day, man. Didn't really talk much. We didn't really, communicate much. I'd be grinding every single day, 24 table, and he'd be playing heads up every single day. And then a few years go by, and the kid's playing 25, 50, 50, 100 on stars. One of the top players. I said, what the hell? What's going on here? And it's crazy to see his workout. His name was Bamboo Eater on there. And he used to blog all of his stuff on Deuce's Crack, like from when he was first starting off. And just seeing this, it's crazy to think like this was someone that you shared a house with, and then you two both became players who got up to high stakes. It's this, you don't think about how much that kind of thing can motivate you, and how much that sort of thing can push you and get you going a little bit extra harder for what you're trying to get after.
How'd you find that guy?
2+2. I put a thread
Really?
in the housing forum. I said, hey, I'm looking for a roommate. And he was one of the guys that applied. I think like 4 or 5 guys did, and just seemed like a nice, quiet kid from St. Louis. So I said, yeah, come on out.
That's sick.
Yeah, that was it. And then my other roommate who I had in Vancouver was a guy named Ball Cup, who was also a Supernova Elite Grinder guy, and he did another crazy challenge. And then he started playing high stakes, but he actually taught me how to bum hunt, because he was the sickest bum hunter I've ever seen in my life, and he was crushing with it. So he would just teach me how to, like there's an art to it. There's the obvious bum hunting strategy at cash games, and then there's the art to it. And I learned the art of it, and I basically used his strategy to make a lot of money too. So that was my my third big poker roommate. But kind of, you learn something from all these roommates, and I think that's something that people don't necessarily think about. And when you think about yourself, what are the things you learned from living with those guys? What are the kind of things you take away from that moment or that experience?
It's tough to point out anything specific that I learned, because you live with them every day. You just kind of follow a routine where you don't really recognize learning things through them, right? Maybe someone's heads up and you're just like, not showing me that day. And you just like, for example, I remember Henry was like heads up in something, and I was just chilling next to him, and he just made a few plays heads up. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, And then like Henry might see something I do and say, oh, why aren't you see betting range there? Why are you checking back? And, I might say something like, oh, because I like to check raise these hands instead. Like those things eventually form a habit, and, you just start, it starts becoming a part of the norm for you, and you don't need to like think about it as much. You just like live through them. Everything they do, you start doing. But yeah, I couldn't pick out anything specific apart from just like, being more motivated to be better than everyone in that house. Because that's what it was. It was a motivation house as well, right? Apart from learning a few things from each other, it was like, okay, I want to be better than you. Like they would all wake up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. every fucking morning, and I'd sleep until 10 o'clock. I'm not one who wakes up early. And like they would keep doing it for like 6 months straight. It was fucking unbelievable. And like at the same time, although the house is so fun, it was so fucking boring, Joey, because I would be up at like 9, 10 p.m. They'd be going to bed at 9 p.m. At 9 p.m. I'm like, how boring can you cunts be? 9 p.m.? Like stay up for a little bit. But then, I'd go to bed, I'd wake up at 10, and I would feel like shit when all 3 of them would be grinding at 6 a.m. and putting in the volume. I'd be like, okay, this needs to change. So, I didn't really start waking up early until living in that house with them. So now I'm probably waking up at 8 a.m. every morning, and I'll start my stream at around 9 o'clock. But I need to wake up earlier as well, because the games dry out pretty fast, and all the clients, man, like once it hits 11:30, games die down. So, and especially with like daylight saving ending, I got to wake up an hour earlier now to put in that schedule. So ideally, if I could wake up at 5 o'clock every morning, like I did today for this interview, I would for this Poker Life podcast conversation. I'd be a lot better off. My ROI would probably increase as well. I'd be making more money. I'd be playing higher stuff, right? I'd be able to fire more 530s, because like with my current schedule, I probably fire 3 530s after 9 a.m. But if I fire at 5 o'clock, I'm going to fire like a good 7 or 8.
So what's the next step for tournaments then for you? So if you're firing the 500s consistently here, are there higher stakes that you can go play? I'm not super familiar with the tournament schedules out there. I know during the big scoops and W Coops and Power Fest and Power Millions and fucking 888 attacks, and I don't even know, maybe that's not a name, that's a name, but I know they get these buy-ins are crazy, Pav. My God, you seen some of these buy-ins for Scoop?
No, I haven't. Funny enough, very similar to the Sean Deeb attitude. I don't ever look at schedules. I just wake up and play whatever's there. I don't plan ahead, and maybe I should, but unless I'm playing live tournaments, which is almost never, I'm not gonna like look at a schedule. I just wake up and play. So for like Scoop and W Coop and that, when they were running last year, I think around that time I wasn't playing above the 215s. So this year should be pretty fun. I should be firing like every 530, like some more 1Ks. As for the 2Ks plus, I'm not entirely sure about that. Like if it's a 2K, I don't know, let's just say 2K 1 milli guaranteed, it's not going to be worth it. It's going to be a bunch of crushes in there. Like I'm not sure what my ROI is going to look like in the average 2K and Scoop. Probably not very good if winning at all. So I got to be very careful in what I play, and if I do want to shot take something, I'm probably going to like be selling pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably, I don't see myself selling, because if I'm going to play a 2K, I'm going to take 100% of myself. If I'm playing like a 5K, I'll probably sell, but I don't see there being many 5Ks worth playing. There might be like the main event that's worth it, but apart from that, I can't imagine it's great value. Those high stake stuff, for me at least.
It's an interesting mindset to have, because you could kind of go on one way where maybe you see that and you want to be competitive in that environment and test yourself out against some of the regulars and kind of see. I could see you being that type of person who would say, you know what, maybe I'm not winning in this game, or maybe it's close, break even, whatever, but I at least want to see what I got and see what happens, sort of thing like that.
Yeah, I feel like that mindset might be better for cash games, honestly. Like, I don't feel like I need to prove anything in the high stakes. I don't think I need to be like, okay, I need to register this tournament and I need to own Ben CB. Like, it doesn't make any sense. First of all, like in tournaments, there are so many variables that there are spots where it's just like a setup. You just can't get away from it. Like blind versus blind, like you're just not going to afford an ace to a jam. Shit like that, right? Like You can't really own many players unless you're playing really deep. And even then, like, how often are you going to get on a heads up pot with them in a 9-handed table? Like, I don't really feel like I need to prove anything in those high stakes stuff. I'll play them if they're good value and I think I can beat them. But I'm not going to jump in those high stakes stuff in order to prove myself to anyone, because I don't need to prove myself to anyone. You know, I'm already proving myself every day. I'm grinding on Twitch every day. I'm firing these tournaments. I'm showing a consistent ROI in these tournaments. I'm showing people that you don't have to go on these 6-month and 1-year downswings and then cover up your trash play with you know, saying that it's just a downswing, bro. Because it's not just a downswing. You're just trash. You're not game selecting well. You're not improving your game. You're firing these huge fields. Your ABI is all messed up. You know, you might be firing too much high stake stuff and then too much low stake stuff. You're not firing the right amount of tournaments.
Just taking a look at the graph here real quick just to verify that receipt right there. I like when we got receipts, guys. Very rare we get a receipt here. So I want to show the graph one more time. Okay. Definitely backing it up. That's true. I mean, once you put a graph together like this, the whole entire proving yourself aspect of things, I feel like, yeah, I can understand that. But also, to be fair, it does sound like the proving your aspect of things is a very big motivator for you too. So do you ever worry that if you lose that need to prove others wrong and prove them that, okay, no, this is, do you ever feel like that might be something that
all the fucking time, Joey? And you made a really good point. You have been making this point for a few podcasts now. You say, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it trying to be our best and reach these levels and prove to these other people and do whatever? Like, what's so wrong with just getting by and being okay and living a happier life? What's so wrong with that? You know, it's a great point. Like, I could probably stream twice a week, play whenever I please, go outside, meet new girls, go to the beaches, do whatever, go partying. I could do all that. It would be all a lot more fun, you know? And I'm still not sure, to be honest. I'm still not sure. Like, is it really worth it grinding all these days to reach the level on Twitch I want to reach? Is it going to be worth it? Because you think about it, so much of my toxicity in my life comes from Twitch. So much of all the anger in my life comes from reading these terrible, terrible, ignorant comments online, right? So why don't I just completely erase them and get rid of it and stream twice a week and stream a lot happier and go out and do what I want? There'd be a happier life. Doesn't it make a lot more sense? You think when I'm 90 years old, I'm going to say, well, Pav, good on you for proving those dickheads wrong. Fucking good work, mate. But you wasted 10 years of your life and you weren't very happy back then, you know? So is it worth it, Joey? When I reach that level, is it all going to be worth it? Maybe. I hope so. It's what I'm doing right now. I'm not going to stop now. I'm 4 years into the grind.
I'm happy you picked up on this question, because this is a topic that I've been asking a lot, because it's something I'm asking myself all the time. You know, was that grind in my 20s worth it when I was 26 years old and 27, 24, 21, 20, 22, 23, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Was that all worth it?
Well, you made money from it. What else are you going to do? Probably worth it.
Yeah, I mean, got to do a lot of things, travel the world, live in countries, never do very well at poker, meet a lot of people, build knowledge and habits and skills that are going to be able to take me into my 30s and 40s and allow me to do whatever I want to do. So when you look at it like that, I think it is worth it. But I think it's also, I've talked to a lot of people who don't think it's worth it necessarily. So this is why I'm kind of put out there, because I feel like there's certain people out there who can handle anything that they're going to make the best out of whatever it is. And there's other people who just don't have the support system in place or the mindset to be able to do something like that. So I really want to propose that question, because I kind of want to hammer home exactly for people out there who are wondering why they're not winning at poker. This mindset is a big thing, is that if you don't feel this way, like Alex Foxen's talking about, you know, I'm ready to dedicate, this is my life. I'm dedicating my entire life to this. And some people need to do that to be able to have success at poker. And for some people, if they never do that, they're never going to win no matter what. So it's just something I'd like to throw out there, the idea to get people thinking about it, because I know it's something I never thought too much about in my 20s, but I'm thinking about it a lot now in my 30s. And I think that's normal when you start to learn about what else is out there in the world. And then you start to think about what you spent your time on and who you spent your time with. And you say, well, shit, if I knew this now, maybe I wouldn't have done that. So it's kind of why I'm bringing up that topic a little bit.
That Alex Foxen pod was a good one as well. He made quite a few good points, and the work ethic on that guy is pretty incredible. That he's a machine. He is a machine with he spoke about his college football days and all the working he had to do, and he had to weigh in X amount of time. And if someone a part of the group didn't, do like the right squats, for example, all the way down, the whole group would have to do the whole process again. It was a nightmare. And he had that like real military mindset. So, I mean, that guy's a very hardworking, intelligent man, works his ass off. I definitely don't work as much as he does. I can tell you that right now. So he's a special breed of like sicko. But yeah, back to the whole topic of like, is it all worth it? I would say maybe like in terms of like future EV in life, maybe developing this sick mindset, this just grinding it through, not giving a fuck mindset. Maybe it's going to be beneficial in the future. Maybe you want to take up a new craft, and maybe you're going to have a bit of an advantage versus someone else who takes up the new craft because you've just been through so much shit before. And the cool thing about poker, right, is there are not many jobs where you can just come home and say, yeah, I lost money today, but it was a good day. I learned a few things. You don't have that with other jobs. You lose money, and that's just like, that's unheard of in another job. But when you go through these swings, and you depend on this money, you develop this mindset where whatever job you enter, it's almost like a free roll. It's like, well, fuck, I can't lose. I'm gonna make money regardless, and I already have this sick mindset, this work ethic that I've developed over the last 10 years. So yeah, maybe it's worth it in that regard. But who knows? Maybe it's player dependent as well.
Yeah, probably player dependent.
Probably.
If people put more of a priority or a value on family or friendship or travel or new experiences, then they might not think it's worth it. Whereas if someone else doesn't place that much importance on those sorts of things like that, they might think it is worth it for them. So
yeah. It's funny, people in chat are saying Edge on Foxen confirmed.
Yeah,
so like
Foxen tag green. What's the green tag mean, Pav? What's
Okay, the green tag, I just want to put it out there for those who don't watch my stream. The green tag is not a bad player. Generally, it is a weaker player, but a green tag is not a bad player. I'll tag a green tag with someone I believe I have at least a decent edge over. And sometimes what I'm doing when I'm grinding, I'll be 12 tabling and streaming, and I'll be like looking at players in their shark scope and looking at their stats, and I'll be like, okay, I'll just like very quickly copy past or whatever I see that's relevant. And what I did with Alex Foxen was I sussed him on ACR, and I think his ABAR was like close to $1,000, and he had played maybe like 300 or 400 games, and he was down like whatever 60 plus Gs. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really like think about the ABI and the games played. I just quickly copy paste those stats in and don't think about it. And they might make a questionable play, and I'll tell you this: Alex Foxen has made quite a few questionable plays versus me that I would consider pretty terrible, but as he said in the pod, just because I see something that is terrible doesn't make it terrible. And I 100% agree with that. Like I'm always doing that when I'm streaming. If I see something that's ridiculous, I'll be like, okay, well, this might be terrible, but why would this player do it? And I'm going to question it if I believe the player's any decent, right? If they're making money, I'm going to question it. So I'm always like picking up things from regs as well. I'm always open-minded to what they're doing can be better than me. And I think that's an important mindset to understand that what you're doing isn't always right. And there are other approaches. But going back to the green tag, it was just a combination of, volume he hadn't put in enough, and I didn't really pay any attention to the fact that it was a high ABI and there weren't many games played. And I just said, okay, he's down X amount, probably a recreational. Obviously, it's not. And the funny thing was, I tagged him green on Party Poker as well before knowing who he was. So another coincidence. But I think he's running pretty bad on GG, Party, and ACR. I think he actually might be down on all three sites, but. That's just variance, in my opinion. If I was a betting man, I would bet on him to eventually start winning money on those sites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, after the pot, I think he got second, another high roller over in Monte Carlo. So,
yeah, great live player.
Do you have any aspirations to play any of these high rollers one day, Pav? The Triton, you got the Triton series going on right now, or the super high rollers, or the.
I don't care about that stuff.
Mm.
I don't know why. I think a lot of it when it comes to these high rollers, it's just like a lot of stables, a lot of these backing crews. It's just like stable versus stable. You know, you don't really see. There's no authenticity with it anymore. You know, all these players don't have 100% of themselves. I think it's good in the fact that if a recreational comes to watch this, right, or they watch it on TV, they're like, oh, fuck, they're playing for millions up top. But like, little do they know that the player has like 5% of themselves. So it's not like, you know, like if I wanted to get really into that and if I were to watch it, I would want to know that the whole tournament, all the players have all of themselves in it, because then the plays become so much more genuine, you know, that they're faced with real fear now because it's all of their money. And I like that. I like that part of the game. I like the shit that gets the blood flowing. I don't like the fact that it's just like stable versus stable and maybe like all these other players swapping with each other and not playing, you know, correctly against each other because it affects their EV in the tournament. I don't like that. So when it comes to these super high rollers and it's like Fader Holtz won a super high roller, 36 players, how fucking incredible. It's like, okay, you know, like you put me up against the best players in the world and I'm going to take down a few 36 mans. It's not impossible. Nothing taken away from Fedor, but this whole super high roller shit where it's just like players winning 45 mans and 90 mans, not that impressive, Joey. I'm sorry, not that impressive. You want to fire the same tournaments every single day online, you know, if you put those same players in the same tournament online and you make them play 1,000 times, that would interest me. I want to say, holy fuck, that dude is a sicko. That's some gangster shit right there. But you do it once, you know, over the span, you do it a few times over the span of 3 years in live poker, not that impressive. You know, it's great in terms of dollar amount won, but in terms of binds won, not that impressive. But I will say, overall, it is beneficial for the poker community because the recreationals coming to the game and seeing a player win X amount of money. And like you were saying the other day on a pod about whether or not it's good or bad to not show losses for players' Hendon mobs, right? And like it makes sense that they would only show the winnings because that's what they want to promote to other people coming into the game, right? That it is all about winnings. You can't have losses. Like imagine how many players would be down on these sites if people could see them. You know, so like maybe it is good they don't show the losses, but like I'm saying, that shit isn't really as impressive to me because, you know, when you grind tournaments every day and you play like proper size fields, apart from these 45 mans, like I just don't care about them. Although you can learn a lot from them because they're like the best players in the world playing the best players in the world. It's just not that impressive for me.
Yeah, I don't think you're on the outside saying a statement like that. I think plenty of people do think that, but whether they want to publicly say that or not, because there might be some sort of, I don't know, people might get angry about it or something like that. I feel like maybe people don't think that as much. I don't know. I mean, I know someone like a Doug thinks that.
He's right.
You know, I know Doug said that before. I know some people in the chat asked about a statement you made about Doug. You said something about Doug, 3 years. What was this? What is this comment? Can somebody remind me about this comment Pav made about a Douglas K. Polk? If you guys played tournaments for 3 years, you'd win more than him?
Oh, yeah, I would. I mean, I think Doug would agree with that.
Shit, man. If Doug's on another level right now, I don't know if he'd agree with anything like that. Listen, man.
3 years ago, Doug would obviously crush me because I was trash then. But with my knowledge now, like if Doug studied for 6 months and then met me in 6 months' time and we started playing the same tournaments every day, I'd win more money than him in tournaments. I just think I'm a better tournament player. Like overall in poker knowledge, he knows a lot more than me. You know, if we played 100 big blinds deep, he'd crush me. But if we started playing tournaments today versus each other, like, I mean, I could name a handful of players who would crush him in tournaments. You know, I don't think Doug would dispute that. Doug's a fucking great poker mind and a great cash game player. And I think he would, Joey. Doug is preached all the time about how he hates tournaments. He's not a tournament player. They're all gross, you know. But yeah, I don't think he would dispute any of that. Let's be real. I respect Doug. I think Doug would crush me heads up deep in tournaments or cash games. He'd crush me. But if we're playing like around the 40 BB range, like he's just not beating me. I'm sorry. Maybe he does after 6 months of studying or less. But like right now, he's not beating me. I could name a bunch of people streaming on Twitch right now he wouldn't be beating if he started playing tournaments against them.
Whoa, come on.
I could.
Stop it. Come on.
Mate.
No, what are you talking about?
He hasn't played for over a year.
I agree.
So Doug is a great poker mind. If anyone takes a year off, anyone streaming right now, you're just not going to be beating that person who's been playing for a year. And like, I haven't only been playing for a year, I've been playing for 3.5 years, 6 days a week, and studying. You're not just coming across some normie here, you know? Doug would be completely naive to think he'd be beating anyone who lives and breathes tournaments when he hasn't played for over a year or however long it's been.
Is this a mission? Are we on a mission right now to get Doug?
No, I don't think Doug would waste his time playing tournaments, and I wouldn't waste my time wanting to. I mean, I would waste my time if he wants to, you know, make a bet for it. Then I would be happy.
Be good for both sides, actually.
No, not for Doug. I don't think he'd want to. I don't think he's into poker right now. He doesn't want to grind anything with poker. He spoke about it, didn't he? That there's maybe like a very, very, very small chance he returns to poker in the future. But right now, he's all about just being happy, relaxing, traveling. You know, he wants to fire a video when he wants to fire a video.
Yeah, check the pain. Pav's Upswing affiliation will not be ending anytime soon. No, we're all still associated with Upswing around here. No, it's not.
I love Upswing, man. I love ripping a product that I believe in. And yeah, I'm very proud of Upswing because it's a product that I've used since the very beginning of my poker career now. And it does make me laugh when people call me a shill when it comes to Upswing. And it's like, bro, I would never sell a product that I don't use myself or believe in. So, like, if you think I'm losing any integrity by shilling Upswing, then you're out of your fucking mind because I'm using it every night. You know, it's the #1 product out there. It's the most affordable. Joey, $49 a month for the Upswing Lab. You get thousands of hours of content. You get a new video every single Friday. There are new modules coming out. There are 6 coaches on the site now. This is the place to be. For what it's worth, I think all trading sites offer insane EV, providing the right players there to watch the videos, rewatch the videos, write the shit down, say it out loud, really implement the strategies they're learning from the videos into their game. You know, a lot of people just sit there, you know, they'll be sitting with their hands on their dick, eating food, and then they'll be like, why am I not learning? What's going on, Pav? Like, I don't understand it. It's like, mate, you have to rewatch videos until you understand it. You got to write this. You got to do whatever you think you need to do to absorb that information, you know? And then you spend yourself like the next day complaining about it, wondering why, you know? It's not the content. It's the person absorbing the content, you know? You think you have you bring out 6 pros who are proven crushers who are teaching you how to do something and you can't absorb that information. You blame it on them. That's unbelievable.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang.
It's the site to be at, man. It's the site to be at.
It's the classic podcast. Right? This is like an old school podcast of mine right here, man. Man, we got people fired. We got Pavs fired up and say, I like this, man. I like this. Sebastian, would you highly recommend Nick Petrangelo's course on Upswing?
Yes, I've watched all of it except the ICM and the Mast. I've watched 2 of, I don't know how many videos are on the ICM and the Mast. I think like 10 plus. But yeah, I've watched the full course apart from the ICM module, which I'm still learning with now, which is very interesting because yeah, just when you think ICM can't become any more fucked, it does.
What does that mean? How?
Well, you know, generally the idea with ICM is you make more money folding than you do calling in spots because you ladder, right? But then it comes to okay, what do the payouts look like? What are the pay jumps? When do the pay jumps become significant? When does it make sense for like Nick? I watched 2 videos so far, and Nick reviewed some scoop FT or whatever it was, and it was just full of a bunch of crushers. He was on the table with them, and it was all cards face up, and he was just showing with ICM these days, players are just so in love with getting in. It's just such an ego war when it comes to reg versus reg on ICM. They don't understand that they don't need to they don't take blockers into effect when it comes to in certain stacks, right? They don't understand that just because you're an equal top stack doesn't mean you should be battling with a middling stack. They don't really consider ranges at all. They just consider, okay, I've got 2 cards, I've got a big stack, I should be going crazy here. When they don't understand that, listen, mate, if the payouts are pretty flat, this middling stack all of a sudden doesn't give a fuck about ICM because he doesn't care about making 1 or 1.5 buy-ins in the next ladder. He cares about putting himself in a situation that can win this tournament and 20x his buy-in. So yeah, it's very focused on paying attention to the payouts, flat payouts versus deep payouts, and when you should be taking blockers into effect, and how many players don't take blockers into effect, and the fact that they just fire off their stack because they have a big stack. It was very interesting seeing all these crushers make horrendous ICM mistakes. I was very intrigued by it, and I'm only 2 videos in. So yeah, if you don't think, I mean, I would not recommend this course for anyone who's like playing the low stakes. I would recommend it for those players who are playing the 22s plus, maybe 33s plus, and who are like beating the 33s plus. You know, until then, you can get so much value out of just watching the Upswing Lab, who a lot of people consider the Upswing Lab as like a recreational content source when it's not the case. I learn things from the Upswing Lab. There are crushers in there who will teach you the basics, but the beautiful thing about learning the basics is once you pick up the basics, everything becomes so much clearer. Like there are so many things today where I'm playing poker and I couldn't figure out a basic thing. Like, okay, like is calling a 3-bet with ace-3 suited here good off 30 big blinds? Like I will just tank. I won't know, right? But when you go over these basics over and over, it's like, okay, fuck, this is making sense now. I can call with this many hands. I can 3-bet this many hands. I don't even need that much equity, you know? Like I would be overfolding so much to begin with in my career until Doug told me about equity and how ridiculous it was that I was folding like 90% of hands. Like I was a proper nit. But yeah, when you go over these basic things, everything becomes simple. And you know that, okay, this play is profitable. I don't give a fuck if I get stacked. It's making money. I avoid getting exploited now and in the future. Yeah.
When you talk about this stuff, do you ever think about the idea of giving away this information to other people? And do you think about strategy in those terms?
Yes, it's the Gary Vee approach. 99% of the people are just going to listen, but not do anything about it. It's just how it is. I feel like everyone who spends every day watching on Twitch and learning on Twitch are going about it the wrong way. Although they're still making money by doing it, they're going to be eventually, like I always speak about it. If you want free content, you got to expect your process, free content to go like this. If you're going for paid content, it's going to be going a lot faster. So you get what you pay for. And when you pay for nothing, which is Twitch, you're not going to learn as much. So I don't get bothered. Like in terms of me specifically, like I'm making more EV out of telling these secrets to people because when I expose these things to people, they build a stronger connection to me. They might implement this idea on a table, and when it works for them, they're going to be like, holy fuck, Pav taught me that. And in the future, it might give me a new viewer, a new subscriber, a new Upswing subscriber. Like I'm making money off affiliates, of promoting a brand that I believe in, and that I live by. So it's infinite EV for me. However, is it infinite EV for the poker ecosystem, making average players better? Who knows? Maybe if I'm bringing new players to the game, it is. But yeah, I'm not. It's definitely beneficial for me. For the overall climate of poker, not entirely sure.
Yeah, I think it probably is because there's just so much material out there at this point in time anyway that's all.
You could find so much free shit on YouTube, couldn't you? You could just you could Google, you could YouTube like how to work out poker odds, and you'd get a bunch of videos on just like basic shit. But so many people are lazy with that stuff. They don't want to do it. They want to take shortcuts. They want to be like, okay, since I watch Pav, I'm going to just ask him this question. And although he's 12 tabling, I'm going to expect him to take time out of his day to explain the whole process behind one topic in poker. It's like if you really expect to get an answer out of a short response, like you're out of your mind. You're not going to go anywhere with that stuff. And I tell them on my stream as well. I'm like, guys, like you're wasting your time. When you ask me these questions, you could reach the player you want to be 20 times faster by going to Upswing or Googling these things. And instead of waiting for me to give you some half-assed response that I'm not going to pay full attention to because I'm grinding like 12 tables right now. It's just, I'm very real on my stream. I tell them how it is. I'm not going to bullshit around it. Like there are going to be plenty of losers in the game, and everyone who watches me, most of them are going to be losers in the game. They're just there to have a good time. And that's what I always preach, that Twitch is always entertainment first and strat second. It's how it should be. Because if Twitch was strat first and best poker player first, who would be at the top of the listing every single fucking day? It'll be me, Joey, because I'm the best tournament player on Twitch. Simple as that. But since Twitch is about entertainment, it's going to be like your Lexus. Lexus, a super entertaining player, way more entertaining than me. Lex has that background of already being one of those live crutches. He has that pre-Black Friday. He's a lot of people look up to him. He's one of the very few players pre-Black Friday who, still out there. Those, especially someone who streams on Twitch as well. It's like a great thing for people to see. Very entertaining player, Lexus. But if we're talking about the best tournament player, that's why a lot of people are tuning to my stream these days, because they're saying, fuck, Pav's firing 5K a day in binds. Pav's producing this ROI. Pav's not hiding his results. He's posting every fucking day. He doesn't care what you think of him. It's just what it is. And, I talk in results, and there they are, mate. I'm not talking bullshit. I was no different at the start of my streaming career. At the very start, day one, I told people, I believe in myself. I don't have the results yet, but I believe in myself, and I'm going to get to this level. And I stuck by that. So yeah, Twitch is always going to be entertainment first, and I wouldn't expect it any other way.
Mm. So does that make you want to be more entertaining, even though and you can't really, when you're 12 table and high stakes?
Yeah, you got to sacrifice a few things, but I'm not going to say that because I'm multi-tabling, that's the reason I'm not at the top of the listing. I will say for a few reasons that I'm not at the top of the listing. I'm probably like a top 5 poker streamer, I'm guessing, maybe top 6, top 7. But the reason I'm not at the top, like you've got these other guys like Les and Spraggy and Finton, they're just more entertaining, right? Like I enjoy watching their streams. Like for me personally, I find Spraggy as my most entertaining streamer. The guy cracks me up, right? He's just a very witty, funny dude. He doesn't take things too seriously. He's very lighthearted. And I enjoy that. You know, he doesn't take shit as well, but he responds in a very polite, witty manner. I like that. And, you know, Lex has these like outrageous reactions and like he's a great storyteller and he's just a good dude, right? I like that as well. But if we're talking about pure strategy and you want to learn and you want to watch like a grind at its absolute core and you want to watch someone crush the mid to high stakes tournaments, you want to watch me. And that's why like my viewers have lifted this shit, because not only do I stream every fucking day, but I'm playing the highest buy-ins and I'm producing these ROIs.
So we have Patrick in the chat. He said, it's a long year, mate. And I won 2018. Maybe someone taking a little, Fucking
Patrick, mate. Yeah, he's really funny to live with as well. Patrick is a good dude, but yeah, he for the 5 of the 6 months that we lived together, he was just on a downswing, and like every good month was like a break-even month for him. And then he goes ahead and finishes second in the Sunday Million for like 100K, and then he wins a W Coup for 30K. And he's like, all right, boys, I'm done. And it was funny. Like Patrick grinded his ass off. He was waking up 6 a.m. every single morning. You know, he's a good dude to live with as well, because he has like such a happy attitude and he's always making jokes. Like this guy was on a pretty sick downswing for the first 3 to 4 months of living with us, and he was still cracking jokes every single day. So yeah, if anyone deserves to have like a big year, you know, even if it's just by a couple big majors, he deserved it because he put in the hours. A lot of people like love to bitch and complain like, you know, this player, he only won X amount of tournaments, and why is he only up this much? And it's like, mate, you forget to say that this player played 10,000 tournaments that year. How many did you play? You know, you played 10 tournaments a week. He played 10,000 that year. So like, how can you really complain?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, difference about tournaments, it seems like, is that you sort of need to have some of these big scores mixed in there, and having these big scores and winning flips in these spots can make your entire outlook on your year so much different. Like
yes and no. Like I strongly disagree with that it comes down to just a few flips, because when you add these flips together, when you add these 55, 45s together over, 48, 52s together over like, you know, 10,000 tournaments, you're eventually going to, you know, turn that EV around and you're going to show a result. But like to have these downswings that last this long for, you know, 6 months to a year, like this is just simply because you're playing like too large fields. Like the fields are too large. You might not be playing your A game. You might be playing like too many tables. You might need to reduce the tables, reduce the stakes, reduce the player field, start playing better. Like there's always something to improve your game. So like I strongly believe that a tournament player should not have downswings that last longer than 8 weeks. I really believe that. Like if you look at my biggest downswing was like last year, I think it was $15,000 I lost, with my average buy-ins like maybe 2,000 a day, which is, you know, that equates to like 2 weeks of buy-ins, which is not that bad, right? But if you're playing the right fields and you're playing correctly, like it's just so fucking hard to downswing, Joey. So when I see this shit on Twitter, like, you know, it's just a downswing, this and that, like it triggers me, because I'm like, it's not just a downswing, mate, you're just shit. And I wish you would be able to admit that, because I'm happy with admitting like when I'm streaming, I'll be like, fuck, I'm playing this hand like trash right now. This is not correct. I don't know what to do here. When you're brutally honest with yourself, you become such a better player. You recognize it. You don't hide it behind this whole downswing talk. You recognize it and improve on it. And a lot of people don't do that.
I agree. I agree with you. I haven't heard many other people say this concept of being able to control your downswings by shifting the variables and the parameters, kind of what you play. I mean, I feel the same way when it comes to PLO cash. People say, so much variance in it. And I mean, I kind of disagree a lot of times. It depends on the games you play in, just like anything else. And it kind of seems like you're saying the same thing, is that if you choose the tournaments you're playing on by field size, actually, I mean, I don't pay much attention to tournaments. This is the first time I'm really hearing something like that. So I think some players, maybe what's the argument is that there's more value in the bigger fields, and that's where the bigger first prizes is. Is that what the argument would be?
Well, yeah, you're always going to have a higher ROI in a 10,000 player field versus a 100 player field, because in a 10,000 player field, you're going to have a lot more trash players, right? More players, bigger fields, more fish, and bigger prize pools. And yeah, eventually, like, although it's very unlikely you get a bink out of that 10K field, the times you do, it makes up for the times you don't by then some, like a bunch. So yeah, I'm not saying like I still play every tournament. Like if there's like a 55 running that's like, 1,000 player field, I'm going to play it. I'm just going to, as simple as that. But if I had the option of playing 12 215s versus 6 215s and having a higher ROI in 6 other 55s with massive fields, I'm going to pick the 215s, because although I'm going to have a higher ROI in the 55s, I'm going to have a higher hourly in the 215s. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's like reduce the tables, pick the games you have a higher hourly in, and that's where you make more money. You avoid so many more swings when you pick the tournaments that give you a higher hourly and a lower ROI. And you can still make a fuck ton of money. Like I made 150 Gs last year with this exact strategy. Right. And this year, the only thing that's changed is that I've went up stakes. I wouldn't play above 215s last year. I maybe played a 530 every now and then. These days, I'm playing 530s and 1Ks, and that's why my profit that's why I made last year's profit in 4 months, because I'm just going up in stakes. I'm taking it day by day. I'm not rushing anything. A lot of people are like, Pav, you're going to fire higher for scoop? Like, yeah, I'm going to just start playing 5Ks now, because why not? That's dumb as fuck. Why would I do that? I'm not ready for that yet. A lot of people trying to rush everything, and a lot of people, they jerk off to these huge buy-ins and these big tournament series. That's not how it works. That's not how poker works. You don't become a better player with one bink in these series. Right. I can guarantee you, all these players who just jump into these series, get a huge score, and they think, I'm a better player now. No, you're probably going to fall back into the same habits and eventually lose most of that money if you weren't winning before that. It's just, if I understand, like, if you're a recreational, you're looking to have fun, fuck, go ham. You work hard for that money, fire it in whatever you want to fire it in. Have fun. But if you're a regular and you're not ready for those stakes, there's no reason you should be firing them.
I agree. But I also see a lot of regulars who shouldn't be playing the stakes they play stakes because of ego, or because that's what they used to play, or I think it's a lot.
Yeah, would you say that's more of an issue in cash games and tournaments, or both?
Well, I know it's a big thing in cash game for sure, and I know a lot of people they've gone broke a lot of times, and they've had to change their entire approach to poker strategy because they couldn't drop down in stakes, or they couldn't find the desire, or I think what it is some people just get bored with that approach, and their goal isn't necessarily to kind of grind their way up the stakes and prove they can win at each stake. Their goal is kind of make a lot of money and they get out of poker or something like that, or beat the game as fast as they can and then do something else. So I think that's where a lot of approaches are going to differ from people that I've met or I know, is that they haven't had this long-term approach. Like, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm in it for 6 years. I'm fine if this takes 8 years. I'm fine if this takes whatever years. So I think that is just an overall mindset. And I think a lot of the players I talk with now have been around poker for so long that maybe a lot of us had a very similar mindset to that you have right now. But then once you're in the game for 10 years, your goals start to shift a little bit. And you sort of, maybe you accomplished all the things you set out to accomplish in a lot of ways. And then it's okay, well, how do I sustain my career? And what can I use to fuel me right now? Whereas I feel like you're at a point right now where you're still having that progression of moving up stakes. So I feel like for myself, it's not necessarily a position I relate to as much in this current day, whereas it's something that I strongly relate to the first few years of my poker career, because that's exactly how I was. So when I try to think back on that mindset, what you're saying, I'm like, fuck, man, this is like, I feel like this could be me saying these things, when in 2009, 2010, like I'd say the same exact things, not as much or self-confidence in my game because my swings were too high and my mental game was too weak. But I just feel like I don't hear these things as much from poker players now that I have on, and whether that's a form of humbleness, as we talked about before, or whether this is a form of differing goals or differing approaches or mindset to poker, I'm not sure. But I think it's kind of refreshing to hear you say these kind of things with such a veracity, because I feel like this is the exact attitude you need if you want to have success at poker at a high level. And like this, if people are wondering, like, how should I be thinking? Like, this is, to me, the way that I know has success at poker. So it's sort of, I'm just kind of taking this in and kind of thinking about, okay, this is, I just haven't heard anyone kind of say it like this in a while. So it's refreshing to hear.
It's just, day by day, it's a marathon. It's interesting with cash games as well, because I feel like the misconception with cash games is there are a lot more happier people in poker who play cash games because the swings are reduced. I like strongly disagree with that. When I was playing cash games, I was a terrible player, to be fair. I think I was beating 25-0 like 3 big blinds or 4 big blinds, and I was break even at 50-0 over like 100,000 hands. I was winning through rake back, funny enough. Probably wouldn't be anymore. But yeah, I was very miserable most days. I didn't like it because I feel like in cash games, there aren't as many variables like there are in tournaments. In tournaments, there are so many things that change with, stacks behind you. But in cash games, you're always going to have 100 big blinds behind you. There's always going to be like this exact combo of hand you 3-bet off 100 big blinds. But like, you have to always switch your ranges in tournaments. Like, you're like, okay, I'm off 20 big blinds now, 40 big blinds now. Okay, there's ISM involved here, and I'm with the big stacks, so I'm going to be flooding more. So like, everything changes in tournaments. It just makes it more exciting, But in cash games, it's like, okay, let me just be a robot today and do the same shit I did yesterday. In tournaments, I'm not doing the same shit I did yesterday. It's always changing, and that's what makes it so fun. So I found myself personally being pretty bored of cash games and pretty miserable most days, Like I'd be trying to bum hunt. It'd be like the same regs bum hunting with me, and I wouldn't be that good as well, Like I didn't enjoy cash games. And yeah, I feel like that's the misconception these days, is that you're going to be happier when there's less variance. I mean, I strongly disagree. If you find the game funner than the other, play that game. If you like the idea of a tournament where there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, then play that. If you don't like that idea, if you like just being a robot and making a steady income, then play cash games. Play whatever. That's when people ask you, what should I play, Pav? As a beginner coming up in the game, should I play, 5 cent and L, or should I deposit $100 and play tournaments? I always say, play whatever you prefer. Like, try them both. You might like one more than the other. I don't know. I can't answer for you. Like, only you know the answer.
I probably wouldn't tell him cash game online. I'll be honest, even as a cash game player. And you kind of touch on what you said. I don't disagree with that also, is that I can see cash games being very boring to some people. I think when I play tournaments, I guess I'm bored playing tournaments because I like playing multi-street. And it seems like a lot of tournaments end up playing pre-flop and maybe flop when you get later in the tournament. So, and also when you play different buy-ins and better structured, it's not going to be that way. So I understand that. But I think for me, I always wonder what my life would be like if I started playing tournaments instead of cash games a long time ago. And I mean, I've always loved playing cash games. I think you bring up an interesting point, which is that our tournament players or cash game players happier. And I think about the people I know, and I mean, I think it's probably 50-50, really. I don't think even.
I mean, it also depends. Like, I feel like live cash game players would be a lot happier than live tournament players, because you think about a downswing lasting online, it can last for up to a month. It's very common, providing like if you're not selecting very, very well with games. But yeah, so like downswings are obviously super common online, but basically the reason why live tournament players are so much more miserable is because downswings literally can last 30 times longer. Because if you're playing 30 tournaments a day online, you're playing 1 a day live, which means those downswings don't just last now for 2 weeks, they're lasting for 60 weeks now. They can last for 60 weeks, and they can be ridiculous. So that's why you see like these 1, 2, and 3 year downswings go for tournament players, because the sample's not there. The online player played 10,000 games that year, and you played 150. Like, what do you really expect? But that's why it makes more sense. If I were to play live poker, I'd be playing the highest buy-ins, and I'd be obviously backing myself for a bunch of them. I wouldn't so I'd be selling myself for a bunch of them because I can't afford to play like all the 10Ks and that. But yeah, in order to reduce my volume by that amount, I'd have to be playing the super highest stuff, because I'd want to make up for it through the hourly of live versus losing all the volume online.
Do you plan to play any more live poker in the future?
I plan to play maybe 2 weeks of live poker a year. So the WPT comes to Auckland in like 20 days. I'll play that for like a week to 2 weeks. And then I'll go straight back to online poker. I feel like if I ever start taking live poker more seriously, it'll be when I'm done with Twitch. When I just want to relax and play every now and then.
Do you foresee a time when you're going to be done with Twitch?
Not until I'm at the top and dominating for like a good amount. I want to be like at the top for a good few years. I don't want to just stop once I reach the top. So it'll be when I get bored of Twitch. Right now, I'm not bored of it. I'm motivated to reach the top. If I lose that motivation, once I reach the top, who knows? We'll see. I could still have it. I might be stronger.
Never know.
Never know, mate.
Never know. Maybe you make enough money and you decide, you get older a little bit, or you read a book about something else and you decide, hey, maybe I start traveling a little more here.
It could happen. I could fall in love with traveling. You know, maybe I want to become a chef for a few years. Maybe I just love making food. You never know. Maybe I want to write a book. Maybe I want to pump out more YouTube videos. I mean, lately for me, I've found this urge to want to put out more YouTube content. I thought about just doing more, just like 3-4 minute videos covering small topics in poker. You know, just like, 4 to 5 minute detailed reply on a small topic in poker that I get asked all the time. You know, I want to expand my content to more stuff on YouTube that isn't just poker streams.
Yeah, not much of that out there right now. I feel like
there's
a lot of vlogs and a lot of Twitch, a lot of streams, and that's about it.
Yeah, and the vlogs, I feel like poker players don't watch the vlogs as well because it's just kind of like a little bit boring. I mean, I've seen a few of Andrew Neme's vlogs, like they're great, obviously. I can see why they're super appealing to the recreational or to whoever likes that stuff. For a poker player, though, like if you're just going to watch 3 or 4 hand histories in one video, like, okay, I opened King 9 suited in the cutoff. He called. The flop was 9-4-4. There's 140 in the middle. I decided to c-bet. He calls. Now, he then takes a sip of his drink. The turn to jack. It shouldn't affect his range. It's just boring to me, Like, I don't want to watch that stuff. I'm so happy that a bunch of vloggers do this stuff, though, because it does bring new people into the game, and some people like that stuff. And me personally, like, I can't get into that. That stuff seems like extremely exhausting as well. Like you gotta, like that stuff might even be harder than like streaming on Twitch every day, because I know Andrew Nemi spoke about, he has like, he'll have like an 8-hour session, and then he gets home and he'll spend like 12 to 24 hours editing a 30-minute video. Like that shit can be exhausting. Having to put in the hand histories on the screen as well, like that would be a nightmare. That's a lot of detailed stuff going on, a lot of tedious work that a lot of people don't recognize until they start editing themselves and they realize, fuck, there is a lot of work involved. So I couldn't do that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of editing involved. I know you edit your own vids, and I edit all of my own stuff too. So
I respect that. Yeah, I see the edit grind on your Instagram story.
Well, I kind of love editing. I'd rather not be the one in the video. I just like editing in general.
Really?
Yeah.
But do you feel like when you edit your own stuff, then you're able to show the audience how you want to be viewed? If you just hand that stuff to someone else, right? They might, because I know when I'm editing my stuff, right, there are spots in the tournament where I just sound like such a douchebag, and I'll just cut it out completely, right? Because I know how to manipulate myself to sounding better than I actually am, because, well, or how I am in that moment. I know who I am as a person, and I know in some moments when you stream for 10 hours, right, you're going to say a few things you don't agree with. It's going to slip out. So, like, I feel like I can't really trust an editor to make me sound the way I want to sound. So I'm always, doing it myself. It is a lengthy process, but I prefer to upload that stuff myself. And it's a bit of a proud feeling as well. When you learn how to edit and you upload that stuff and it's on the channel, it's a cool feeling. You did that yourself. No one else did it for you.
I agree. I mean, this is a common thing me and Doug would go back and forth on, because Doug obviously has an editor and he's got a team of people he works with, and you can't argue with the results. I mean, maybe it is GTO. Maybe you said
it definitely is GTO. It definitely is. But do I want to do it? No, I still want to do it myself.
Yeah, I think that's common, whereas some guys like Lex, I know he has someone editing his stuff, and that seems to be a pretty good approach too. So maybe when you think about the idea of how to get to the top of the Twitch directory, maybe having those people that are editing those clips and that are editing those highlight videos on YouTube, that maybe makes up a big part of how you increase on Twitch too. I'm not sure how much of an importance thing that is.
Yeah, well, they're getting editors together now with Party Poker. so I can have more of my stuff edited. I really like doing it myself. I like putting a piece together. It's like a little mini movie for me, and I'm proud of it when I'm done. So yeah, I don't mind looking back. Like for me as well, although I want to build my audience, I want to be able to look back on Twitch and be like, I did pretty much all of that myself. I edited all of those videos. Like that's a skill that I learned myself and didn't have anyone else do it for me. I think it's a cool thing to have. It might not be the right approach, but it's what I'm doing right now. For now, at least. It might change in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like to do all my own stuff myself, for better or worse. I think it probably hurts me in a lot of ways. And by it does, I mean, I know it does for sure, because when you want to do all your photos and graphics and designs and stuff like that.
Oh, the thumbnails are the worst. That's so tough to do them. So like I actually get someone else to do my thumbnails from now on. But if you go to my YouTube channel at ALLinPav, all the thumbnails are done by me, apart from the last video. And like, they're just so bad. Like they're just so sloppy. And it doesn't make any sense because like I was very proud. I was like, I don't want to pay someone $20 when it takes them 5 minutes to put this thumbnail together. I don't want to do it. Although that $20 can be the difference in 20,000 views versus 50,000 views. Like it can be that big. So now I understand the importance of a thumbnail. I'm not going to take it lightly anymore.
Yeah, packaging GTO for sure. We got people out here on YouTube, people on Twitch. Shout out to everybody who's out there tuning in right now. Back on the podcast grind. We got a lot of podcasts coming up here. Let's get some questions for Pat from the chat, man. I see some people out there. I know I have one question. I believe this is from Patrick on Twitter. He said, ask him about the night he shaved his head.
Oh, that was one of my biggest regrets. Holy shit. So the 3 roommates I lived with was Patrick, Henry, and Travis, who go by the screen names on Twitch as IrEgption, Dramatic Degen, and Bolero. And Travis, if you know him, doesn't have much hair. He's losing his hair. And we were all drinking one night and streaming in the living room. And I made the dumbest suggestion of my life. And I said, why don't, if me and Henry shave our heads, you got to shave your head. He was like, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't believe you guys. So then we shaved our heads first to prove we were going to do it. We were doing it for a friend, Joey. And when I woke up, holy shit, I hated it. I hated it so much. Like, I need my hair. Like, call me what you want, but I need my hair so bad. And that was a pretty terrible 4 to 5 months of just being short. Like, I had this like really scruffy beard at one point and no hair, and I looked like Habib in his early stages, and I just did not like it at all. So yeah, I wasn't happy with that. It was very fun making content out of it, and it sounded like a great idea at the start. Like when you're drinking, you're like, fuck, this is courageous. Like people are gonna love your confidence of doing this. Like, congratulations, mate. But like, that feeling lasts for only like 20 minutes until you regret it. So yeah, never again. Never gonna shave my head again.
Okay, never gonna shave the head again. You live, you learn. We try it, trial error. Put it in the lab, put it in the sim, and we put in one sim. That's all the lab work we need to know. I've shaved my head.
Yeah, you have recently, like 6 months ago or something.
Lost my mind.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I like you with hair. It looks better.
Thank you. I feel the same way. I feel very weird without the hair. It was so strange. It was so strange. Evil Invaders asking about the importance of making your bed. Pav, what's up with this bed making theory?
Well, who was it that said this? Like Jordan Peterson, right? Or some other dude.
Yeah, it's one of his
people. Yeah, people always say this. Like, oh, that's what Jordan Peterson said. I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. But yeah, then I YouTube him. I'm like, oh, this guy's kind of cool, and he makes a good point. But yeah, like I strongly believe, like that's what my mother taught me. She always made me make my bed, and she taught me how to tuck the corners. And I don't know, I've been doing it at a pretty young age, and I just feel like it's a good mindset, to wake up. Like you could have a pretty terrible day, you go back and your bed's made, and it's a nice clean feeling. It's just the best way to start your day. So yeah, I'm always uploading a picture on Instagram of my bed made, like I did today, 5 a.m., clean bed, looking all good. And then I'll go on to like pouring my iced coffee on Instagram, and it's like very therapeutic for my viewers now. They just tune in to watch the iced coffee pouring, so that's fun. But yeah, the 2 things I do in the morning is bed and iced coffee. And then I'll sit down and load up all the infinite programs I need to stream on Twitch. Like I'll load the dashboard, the chat, the video player window, OBS, Streamlabs, Snip, and Snaz.
What?
Snip and Snaz. It's like a streaming tool to show the uptime and the how long you stream for, and to show the song playing. Like there's a lot of tedious stuff that goes in before starting a stream. Quickly answer emails so they don't get clogged up. Load up all my Shark Scope tabs for all the clients. Have the dashboard and poker directory opens, have Twitter on the side open to post when I'm going live, and when all that's done, start rigging tables, and then you fire it live, and before you know it, you have every window opened on your 3 monitors, and you got to read the chat, and there you are. I would never start off like that. Like when I first started streaming, it was like 4 tables, I think, and then I just started adding them slowly, and here we are.
That sounds so easy. Non-complex at all.
Andreas asks, who does a new Pav thumbnails interested? Just a guy at Party Poker. His name is Jordan. He does Jamie's thumbnails as well and videos.
Yeah, shout out to Andreas Froelich, and Andreas Froelich Poker in the chat.
He's a good player.
Does a lot of some YouTube content as well too.
I watched him stream on Twitch for a bit at the very start. I might even be a modernly stream still. He's a good dude. Jonas
Palsgard said top 3 reasons why Pav is where he is now. Not every viewer pleb recreational wanting it more.
I would say, it's tough to go past what I've already been preaching. Bankroll management, software, training sites. Like once you learn how to use Equilab and ICMizer, like ICMizer is so useful for anyone coming up in tournaments because you face ICM spots every single day. And like even when you're not facing an ICM spot, you can run a chip EV spot where it's like, okay, someone jams under the gun for 14 big blinds. What's my worst ace in the cutoff? What's my worst ace in EP? And what's my worst ace in the big blind? So like ICMizer is huge for any tournament player. Stop wasting your time, just get it right now. You can even use 3 free simulations per day. If you're not spending $11 a month. $11 a month, it's piss cheap, Joey. So like there's no excuses out there. So yeah, just staying consistent, bankroll management, software, and training sites. Like I really can't say it's any like, and I guess if I wanted to add to it, actively thinking throughout hands, like a lot of people say that this is the most fucking ridiculous thing, but people say, do you think streaming gives you an edge, Pav? And I'm like, why would it give me an edge? And they say because it pushes you to talk out loud and think more and explain hands to your viewers. When it's not the case, because you could just think a lot faster inside of your head instead of saying it out loud. But yeah, like that's just being honest with yourself. When you're grinding, being completely transparent and always asking yourself the most important question on every single street, which is why. Why am I betting this? Why am I calling this? If you can't figure out why, then it's most likely a trash play or you haven't studied that spot enough. So every single play you make in poker, there needs to be a why to it. And without a why, you're just blindly betting or blindly calling for no reason. So yeah, it's always going to come. Just going back to the basics, those things I covered, plus being transparent and asking yourself, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. And if you stop asking yourself why you're doing this, then you're most likely going through the wrong process and you're probably going to lose money that session.
Mm. Yeah, Jonas said most people use those and don't make 150K in 4 months. What personal skills / talents do you have that helped you get there faster than most?
I guess it's just grinding really hard. Like maybe Twitch encourages me to like grind more because I want to put in the most volume as well. I wouldn't have these really long sessions if it wasn't for Twitch. I wouldn't reg some 88 deep stack at 2 p.m. 4 hours of my session if I wasn't streaming on Twitch. I like to produce content. So I just think it takes time to develop a skill where you just want to keep grinding through this stuff and being okay with firing the volume you're firing. It's not going to be easy at first, but once you keep doing it day in, day out, all of a sudden 4 tables, you laugh at that. You add 2 more. Then you laugh at that, you add 2 more. So it's just like when you keep being repetitive in what you're doing and following the right process, it is impossible not to find things become easier. And yeah, a lot of people who say we all study, we all put in the volume and we're all honest with ourselves. Like a lot of people do that and they don't make 150K a year. Well, to be honest, no, they don't do that, Joey. They may think they do that, but they don't actually do that. Mm-hmm. Do you think I'm not lying? I've got nothing to prove. I'm not lying when I say I did these things to get to the level I'm at. I truly believe it's just being completely transparent with yourself and really asking yourself why in every situation. And if you're not really living and breathing poker, and if you ever find yourself throughout the day thinking what should I do now? That's probably the reason you're not making money or not making a good amount of money, right? Those times you have free and you ask yourself, what should I do? When you should be always thinking about poker and studying poker and improving some kind of your game, even if it means like for me in my spare time, like I'll watch a poker podcast. I'll watch, like, I'll just go on Twitch and see what's up, you know. I'll listen to the mindset of some random streamer versus mine, you know. I'll always be trying something new. But the thing is, when people say, like, I'm doing everything you're doing, Pav, but I'm not making this money a year. Well, there's a lot of things, because you might not be doing it hard enough. You might not be, you know, investing every free minute you have into poker. You might be playing completely different stakes, you know. Like, there are so many things that you could be doing different, you know. Like, I'm playing on, like, 3 other clients. Like, it's like 60% of my volume is on party, then it's like 30% is on ACR, and then 10% is on stars. Like, I play 3 tournaments a day on stars now. Like, the value is not there on PokerStars. It's just completely gone to shit. Apart from like the 162 bounty builder and the 55 bounty builder and like a couple 1-in-9s, like everything else on there, I have a higher ROI and a higher hourly on any other site. Like, the money just, like, the prize pools have gone to shit. It's like really a shame what's going on down there. So you just got to pay close attention to, like, the site you're playing on, the game selection, like why you might not be making this money. Like, are you really, if you're being truly honest with yourself, are you really investing these hours into studying and improving your game? Or are you just saying you are? Are you just doing the bare minimum to get by? Or are you one of these guys, this is what I see a lot lately, right? A lot of these guys, they go out of their way to prove they're studying, but they're not doing shit. It'll be like, okay, let me get out my Instagram story. Yep, I'm just watching this video right now, guys. It's fucking killer, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, they don't really do shit about it. They'll watch it, and then they'll be like, okay, how many likes am I going to get for this right now? Oh, yeah, people know I'm watching this video. They fucking know I'm studying. They're not doing. I bet so many people are guilty of that. So many fucking people. And do you know how I know this? Because I'm guilty of it myself. When I first started out in 2016, I was so hell-bent on proving that I was studying, when in actuality, I wasn't doing shit. I thought I was studying when I was more focused on getting likes and getting attention versus actually absorbing this information. So a lot of people do that. You got to understand, at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your income. You shouldn't give a fuck about what other people think of you. And all you got to do is do what's best for you, produce the results, and then the people will follow eventually. That's how it is.
And that's what's happening for you. You're
producing
the results people are following. You're consistent with it. C-O-N-S. I don't actually know how to spell it. It says C-O-N-S-I. I always have trouble spelling this word. Consistent.
Consistent. E-N-T. No, you're good. You're good.
E-N-T. Consistent.
You're good, man.
Easy game. People in the chat are fired up. They're fired up about some of this stuff. Pav. Landon says, ask him about his favorite podcast guest. Who's your favorite podcast guest? Good question.
I started watching the what's his name? Garrett something?
Garrett Adelstein.
Yeah, I watched like an hour of that the other day, but I haven't finished it yet. For me personally, although I have like very, 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 very little respect for Luke Schwartz, he's probably my favorite podcast guest because I was just laughing the whole time, right? You know, he's very passionate about what he says. Although so much of what he says makes no sense at all. I mean, Joey, this idiot legit said PokerStars is rigged. The moment he said that, I just switched off and I started laughing at him and not with him. You know, I was having a laugh and he was giving Doug shit. And you always know when someone's in the wrong or when they're making no sense is when they can't put into words what they want to say and they just get really angry. And you know, with Luke, he was like, you know, if Doug, you know what it is, yeah? You know what it is. If Doug sits at the table with me, I'll fucking smash his face in. If he fucking says this thing to me, smash his fucking face in. It's like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, you really think Doug went that ham? Like, he was just saying it how it is, mate. You're a losing player on stars. It's not a big deal. Plenty of people are. To get that aggro and say, I'm going to fucking beat the shit out of him, it's just the most, like, childish shit ever. Like, beat him with your words. If you want to prove him wrong, beat him with your words. Use your brain. What are you doing? And then he spoke about, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch, maybe. I'll start doing this. I'm like, I just started laughing. I was like, holy fuck. If Luke Schwartz started streaming on Twitch, I would love it. I'd be hosting whenever I can. I want people to see how amazing of a player is because he talks about being this fucking great player. I remember he had this like 2-minute video. He videoed on his phone, right? And he uploaded it to Twitter. And it was like, oh yeah, it was like 2 heads up tables. Like, oh yeah, we're going to watch this. He's got a 3-bet. Watch this. And we've got a 4-bet. What did I tell you? It's like, cool, mate. You found 2 minutes of footage where you own some guy. Congratulations. Let's see you stream on Twitch. Let's see you crush these online players. Because the simple fact is, you got crushed on stars. And I don't think any less or any higher of you because of that. It's just it is what it is. But the moment you start getting like physically angry and wanting to beat up a player because, you know, they just prove things correct, like that's just ridiculous. But I will say Luke was my favorite guest, and Sean Deeb, probably my second favorite guest. Although I disagree with a lot of things that Sean has done recently, I still believe in a lot of things that Sean represents. So yeah, probably the two most polarized guests are my favorite, although I, you know, have issues with both of them.
That's very fascinating reading the comments lately. For some reason, this Sean D podcast is really kicking up in the views because I don't know what's it went into some super algorithm the other day. I don't know, it's algorithm vortex or something like that. And but the comments for that are fascinating because they're the most polar. They're either I fucking love this guy or I fucking hate this guy. And every comment is one of there. No one's on the middle like, oh, this guy's okay. It's like love this guy or totally hate this dude.
Yeah, from what I watched, from what I saw in the comments, it was like 95% love Sean D, or like 90%. It was pretty good in favor of him. But there's no in between. It's not like, oh yeah, I kind of agree with Sean. It's like I love this guy, or like what a douchebag. He's not humble enough. He's too arrogant. He's too cocky. Like I feel insecure from this man having confidence in speaking up in what he believes in. So I'm gonna say that I don't like him. You know, he's too cocky. Blah blah blah. Like the reason people get mad at people these days is so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, they do get pretty upset about a lot of things. A lot of people get upset about a lot of things, especially if you believe Twitter. I think when you're not on Twitter, you realize people actually don't get that upset.
Yeah,
but when you're on Twitter, you just see so much outrage and anger.
Twitter's terrible, man.
Think so?
Yeah, there's even me now. Like I didn't used to think much of it, but the more I go on it now, there's just like more arguments, There's just more toxicity created out of nothing. They find a way to create something to talk. Like there's always a negative, right? And it just gets so tiring, and people just find reasons to be mad these days. And yeah, Twitter used to be fun. It used to be fun. Now it's not so fun for me. I just post when I'm going live, and I don't really spend much time reading it.
Yeah, I just don't really get involved with a lot of that stuff. I might throw a troll in there once in a while. If Negreanu says something, I might throw like something in there. If Doug says something, might throw something in there. Or if the thing about now on Twitter is not many people really troll, unfortunately. You know, there's not many other like real popular poker players who tweet up a bunch of stuff like that you can really kind of make a funny comment on or support them or stuff like that. I think a lot of people from the community are starting to use Twitter a little bit less, and probably rightfully so, because it does create a lot of toxicity if you let it. So I just try not to read those back and forths that go on. Like people get, like the other day, Doug quoted a tweet, like I think Motion said something about white people, or like something about if white people cared as much about Jon Snow's dog being abandoned as they do something else, something like that. And then Doug made a comment, and then that started this fucking long ass thing. Bonomo's in there, my boy Dan O'Brien's in there, and I'm just like, I am not reading any of this. I just don't.
I didn't see that, but that does sound funny. But yeah, that's not. Although it sounds funny, it's not healthy to read that shit, I don't think.
Yeah. Did you, Pav? You see this Jungle Man thing? You see the Jungle Man's photo? He had the photo of himself at the pool. Or he was in a pool. He's on a meditating in the middle of a metal table. 15 beautiful women surrounding him, no clothes on. He shot the music video where he was in the sex game Illuminati scene where the girl took off her thong and put it in the pot and then came on there. What are your thoughts on that, Pav? And then I'll get into some thoughts I had on that a little bit more.
Well, I think it's great for one because it brings new players into the game, right? Maybe not like a bunch, but you know, what's the worst thing that can happen here? No one's going to stop playing poker because of it. Yeah, all it's going to do is a bunch of wrecks, and it'll be like, oh shit, what's going on here? They got chips covering themselves. They got thongs flying in the middle of the table. Like it's only good for poker, if anything. I have no idea what his motive was behind it. Maybe he just got bored. He had money. He wanted to just fire some random video. But yeah, like, was it a music video? It didn't really sound like it. It was some weird techno shit. Like I didn't enjoy the song. Like
it was from French Deep House, I believe, was the music in that. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with the video, Pav. I personally, I love the music video. I think it's great game selection by Jungle Man. Anytime you see a game with 7 Playboy bunnies where one of the girls is taking off her thong and put it in the pot, and then she's going to give you a naked lap dance, I'm in. Like I'm in that game, Pav. That's the kind of game I'd like to play.
I enjoyed it, although the sex scenes, well, the soft sex What was going on there?
I don't know if you guys didn't see it. Jungle Man was in a softcore sex scene
Yeah,
where the
yeah,
girl
yeah.
was in the bra and underwear, and he was in just the jeans with no shirt on, and he was kind of, I don't know. I heard from a lot of women though, Pat, they really started to look at Jungle Man in a different light after this video came out. They're like, yeah, they just thought he was the sex machine, I guess, and I think,
I mean, the
but
video was hot. Like, you can't take that away from him.
the drawback I've heard from some people is that, oh, this isn't going to get more women in poker. Like, women are going to see this and they're going to be disgusted. And some women loved it. They were fans of it. Other women didn't feel that same way. Other men didn't feel that same way as well. So I didn't really anticipate I mean, for the most part, I think it was 95% like, oh my God, this is pretty epic. But 5% sort of saying, objectifying women, this isn't what we want to promote. Like, should we promote great things in the game? Why are we promoting one of the top poker players with naked women? Like, what? So kind of found that part fascinating, and it wasn't something I initially thought about going into it after I saw the photo and posted the photo.
But did Jungle ever come out and say why he did it? Like, what was his motive behind it?
It's for a Playboy shoot.
Oh, okay. Well then, yeah. What's the big deal? Like, that's all it's for. It's good fun. It's a good thing to laugh at. I wouldn't think much more of it. Like, when I saw it, I wasn't thinking, okay, this is to bring new players into poker. I wasn't thinking that. Right. I mean, it might ultimately, through this Playboy thing, it might have more people speak about poker, but I don't think it really does anything to poker overall. But it is a good laugh.
That's what I think it is too. I think it's fun. Yeah,
it's fun. Like, what's wrong with that these days? Like, there has to be something great that comes from something now. Like, why can't it just be good fun?
I guess that's maybe the debate some people might have, is that there should be something else that's beside that comes out of that sort of thing like that.
Yeah,
it shouldn't just be about. I don't know, man. I found it hilarious. Like, listen, you get the fucking Jungle Man. This guy was, he's one of them kind of little strange guys sometimes with girls.
Yeah, he's a robot. And then out of nowhere, I'm like, what the fuck? This is not Jungle Man.
I think it's hilarious. It's like ridiculous. It's awesome. It's fucking Jungle Man. Jungle Man's in the bedroom running solvers for 6 years, and now all of a sudden he's out there taking nude photos in the French Riviera with chicks around him. I mean, that's pretty fucking crazy to see, man. I think that's what people saw. They think this is crazy. This Jungle Man. The fucking Jungle Man's out here. He's playing the sex Illuminati game, doing a softcore sex scene. This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen this year. And people they get outraged about it, though. They somehow found a way to get outraged, man.
It's like he kind of brought Dan Bilzerian back into poker with that, Like, Dan doesn't play poker anymore, but he's, he brought the Dan into someone who actually still plays poker. So I thought that was cool. No one's doing that. Why not do something so fucking polarized and out of line? Like, that's how things grow when new shit happens. So I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are going to have Jungle Man on the podcast, guys. Maybe, I don't think next week, probably a week after. So probably have him on the podcast a week after. We're going to talk all about that. I'm sure that's going to be one of the most viewed podcasts of all time. And it's kind of interesting how the whole media thing works, is that Jungle Man can do the regular Jungle Man things. And then all of a sudden you take a nude photo and you shoot a video, and now you catapult up into the interest of poker players all around the world. Kind of fascinating when you think about it, man. I don't know what the takeaways are, unfortunately. I don't know if, like, well, maybe other people can recreate that moment or that magic or something like that. But yeah, the poker world says, Joey, when are you gonna grow up, man? Step back from like a 20-year-old. I'm fine, man. I don't know. I'm doing all right, buddy. I think that's kind of the answer to that question, random person. That's kind of how I feel about that. Play 2 Cash says Pav streams 6 days a week, and he also talks about studying all the time. Can you ask him if he drinks, or does he abstain as part of reaching his goals?
I only drink on stream. I'll have like some rum maybe once a week toward the end of my session. If I'm playing for if I got 2 tables left and I'm playing for maybe only 5 caps up, then I'll drink. But if I'm playing for a lot more money, I probably won't. But yeah, I have maybe a couple glasses of rum and Coke a week. Yeah, I'm not a heavy drinker. I don't really do any drugs. I don't smoke weed. I don't really feel anything when I smoke weed. I just feel nauseous. It's never really been into that. Yeah, I'm not a drugs kind of guy. Just like alcohol every now and then. But the real high I get is from just grinding every day, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss kind of grinding poker every day. There was something very peaceful about it, and only you were affected by your results too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of envy that peacefulness because I don't really have that as a streamer. Like
Right.
yesterday, or 2 days ago, sorry, I had a lot of streaming issues. I couldn't get my stream to connect to Twitch because there was something wrong with the Sydney server. But yeah, I had to stream. I had to play the first 4 hours of my session without streaming, and it was so peaceful, just not having to talk out loud, just grind and be within my own thoughts. And it got me thinking, like, man, a lot of people did this back in the day, right? They just grinded by themselves. There was no one else to talk to. There was a bit of loneliness as well, but it was very peaceful.
I don't know, man. You mentioned earlier in the conversation that people ask you, do you think streaming on Twitch gives you an edge? And I have to think that you're probably much better off at expressing your thought process and answering the why, as you mentioned as well, which is another important thing for people's games. Whereas someone like myself never really talked out loud about a lot of these things, wasn't often thinking about the why on an active, conscious, sort of spoken level. So that is something that I noticed that I really struggle with now, is sort of putting my takeaways and thoughts and strategy into specific words where you can explain the thought process. And I know that, so I've been recording videos that I don't post where I just talk strategy, what I'll do is I'll sort of like listen to Phil, how Phil Goffin will do a strategy, and I'll try to just sort of recreate that in my own way and try to get better at that process. But I think that for someone like yourself, that's probably something that does give you a little bit of an edge, because you're forced to have to explain the why. And if you sound like a fucking idiot, the chat's gonna fucking tear into you. So you have to get better at explaining the why. You're putting yourself accountable out there saying, okay, let me know am I wrong here? What do you guys think? And you're getting judged constantly on these sort of thought process. So if you're someone who does put an emphasis on getting better, it just has to help you. It has to be a huge edge for you, because you're just forced to do it so often. And just like playing, you only can get better and better at it if you try to put focus on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think explaining it gives me an edge in terms of like having a higher ROI in poker. But I still think there's more EV in explaining my thoughts, because, you know, like I said earlier, when you explain these things, you get a stronger connection with the audience, and then they're more likely to tune in next time. And obviously more viewers is more beneficial for me. So overall, like having to speak about every like decent spot I'm in the game, it is tiring, and I'm probably losing some kind of EV in the actual game, but the overall game of grinding and streaming on Twitch, it's making me more money. So yeah, I'm still against saying that, like, you know, streamers in general have an edge playing poker, because obviously that makes no sense. It's all cards up. But in terms of like high EV, like if you want to make it in Twitch, in poker specifically, like I would honestly tell people just not to bother these days. I mean, maybe that's like not the right approach, but like I feel like had I started today and not 3.5 years ago, like I started at the same time Lex and Tonka started as well, right? And that's when they were booming as well. So like it was pretty tough. Now you have like more streamers, like you got Finton and Spraggy and Ali and Travis and Henry and Patrick, right? All these guys have higher viewer counts now. Rated G, No Limit GG, Rated GTO, Ricky. It's like you have all these new streamers coming. Like you refresh it any day, you got like 5 solid streams to select from, right? It's tough not to find a good stream. So if you were to start a stream today, a Twitch stream, that is Twitch poker stream, you would have to like really select the times you play, and you would have to be honest with yourself and be like, okay, what do I offer that's different to all of these other streamers? And if you really can't think of anything, like I know a lot of streamers these days, like if you scroll to the bottom of the directory and they're all streaming like 3, 4, 5 viewers, you open up their stream, one thing they all have in common is they don't say a single word. They just sit there like a mute and play poker. And what's even more bizarre is some people will respond in the chat, like with their keyboard, instead of just talking when they have a mic and a camera. It's like they're embarrassed almost. So I can understand, like you can be a little shy at the start, but if you keep doing it, like you got to understand, you got to act the same way you're acting in front of 1 viewer versus 1,000 viewers. Nothing should be changing. And if you can't think of anything that you offer that's different to these other streamers, then you probably shouldn't bother streaming it. Overall, it's going to just like make you lose more money on the felt. It's tough to imagine yourself like winning more. However, if you wanted to stream in general, I think it's a great idea. Streaming is just like a great way to express yourself. It's very fun. It's motivating. You can make money from it. Just make sure you're picking the right category. I would suggest someone who's starting up a Twitch to stream the just chatting section, which is essentially IRL. You know, just sit in front of your camera and just talk bullshit. You know, you could get in a good 90 to 100 viewers just talking bullshit, right? And then if you keep talking bullshit and you have like a schedule going, you know, you can grow that viewer base. Like a lot of the bigger streamers all stream via just chatting. And I know like you have some huge streamers who are streaming like Fortnite and I don't know what the fuck, Apex Legends, whatever the games are these days. Like I don't watch them. But yeah, it's going to be extremely tough to be competitive in a market like those gaming markets. Not as competitive as poker, because poker is still quite niche, but to expect yourself to be the best or like among the top players or among the top streamers, you have to really understand like where your edge is in the game and how you can reach the top. If you don't really have a plan, then I wouldn't bother doing it, unless you're doing it just for fun. But if you're doing it without a plan and expecting something, it's not going to happen.
I'd like to start at the bottom of the Twitch directory as a streamer. I think that'd be fun. I would always say to Pav, if streaming was around back in the day, I would have been by far #1. I was insane. I'd play.
I believe that. I believe that.
I'd be like, fucking let's go, motherfucker. Fucking, I feel like that all the time inside. I just suppress myself and I'm a lot more calm. So yeah. I feel like just the whole entire energy I'd have sometimes. If I won, it'd be like, wow, this dude's fucking insane.
Yeah, I think if you started streaming, like if this was pre-Black Friday and the games were as juicy as they were, and Twitch was around back then and you were doing it before Jay Carver, like I think you would easily be the #1 streamer. You'd have infinite numbers. Like Jay Carver could average like 10K viewers. It's ridiculous. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Like I sometimes think if I started streaming 5 years ago instead of 3.5 years ago, like I could be a completely different streamer. Like you have to be in the right time. And I think right now there are so many good streamers. It's why I say like, don't waste your time becoming a poker streamer, because it's going to be very, very tough and very competitive.
Unless you like that competitiveness.
Yeah, if it brings something out of you, then good on you. I mean, I kind of envy, being one of the bottom streamers, because I remember how exciting it was getting up to 30 viewers and 40 viewers. Like that shit was such a huge high. And I mean, I still prefer where I am right now, but like I was speaking about this the other day, in terms of like losing that excitement for the game in poker, right? Like I would be super buzzing over like a $500 score. If I won $1,000, I'd be going crazy. There were times where like you can go to my YouTube, go to the bottom, you're gonna find a video of me standing up and shadow boxing in like the big $3.30. It's unbelievable, like just screaming in a $3 tournament. It's just crazy how things can change over a few years. So yeah, it is a little bit sad that I've lost that attitude. And I think you lose that excitement for the game when you learn more about the game, when the game becomes like, I suppose, more simple and more automatic for you. And you just know what you're doing on certain boards now. It all becomes more of a grind. You still have the passion, but it becomes more of a grind and less exciting. So you gotta look for new things to make it more exciting. Although things won't make you get out of your chair anymore unless you're playing for like a fuck ton of money up top. You gotta think like, okay, do I want to expand my content to YouTube videos? Like, do I want to do ASMR videos? Like something stupid out there just to really motivate yourself. If you're lacking excitement, then maybe you need to add more content to your game that isn't even poker related.
Yeah, Patrick out there in the chat kept asking this question. He says, fuck, marry, kill. Patrick, Bulero, or Travis?
I'd probably kill Travis because he's the boringest. No offense, Travis.
Okay.
Patrick makes you laugh the hardest. So I'd probably have to marry him, and then I'd fuck Henry.
Actually, he asked rank his favorite roommates 1 to 3 with explanations why. Somebody else technically asked to fuck marry.
Ah, shit. Well, I answered it anyway. 1 to 3, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. No, that's a trap.
I'd like to rank my roommates over the years. Who would I put #1? I had to put Ball Cup up there. I don't know. That guy taught me a lot about bum hunting, man. I'm telling you, this guy had this thing down to a science, man. He taught me.
Is he still around today? Is he grinding still or what?
Unfortunately, he passed away in Vancouver.
No.
Yeah, he got a little out of line with life, and the out of line life took care of him, unfortunately. And that was very tough time. Yeah, he moved in on his own, and he had some bad demons in his past, to put it like that, and he suppressed those demons. And then once we stopped living together, a lot of those demons came back out, and yeah, pretty fucking crazy to think about. But yeah, that was maybe 2013 or something like that, 2014. So yeah, wild to think about, huh? Yeah.
I mean, it's fucked. You put in such a heavy grind for all those years, and then you don't live much of a life.
Yeah.
Sad.
I think he was a little bit older than me. His name's Ball Cup, guys. Brad Stallcup was his name. Yeah, so it was kind of crazy to think back on that whole time of life, and definitely taught me a lesson about getting out of line. If anyone noticed, I kind of stopped doing anything like that. I think after that took place, because I was like, yeah, I mean, that if I stay on this path where I'm partying or I'm trying certain drugs or whatever, then this kind of thing might happen to me. So I think that was a big motivator for myself too, because I kind of experimented with things for about a year, and then after that I was like, yeah, still once in a while, but not really. It's just something I don't really do with my life anymore.
Yeah.
So just try out the marijuana here in Las Vegas, and probably should stop doing that too. You said you don't do much of that, right?
No, I mean, I've done coke in the past, like a few times, but I don't do any drugs now.
Poker's its own drug, man. It's its own thing, like the game of poker is a fucking drug. So
someone asked asking about his Serbian roots and what his parents say about him living from poker.
It's true.
I don't have like a really traditional family like that. Both my parents were born in Serbia, and they both moved over to Australia between like the ages of 3 and 5. So they pretty much grew up in Australia, and they speak English around the house. And yeah, like my dad is probably more like, he doesn't really believe in school, but he believes in getting like a paycheck, get a job, do this, pay the bills, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like my first job ever was when I was 18. I was working as a table dealer at the casino.
What?
So I dealt like pontoon, blackjack, and all the table games pretty much. Texas Hold'em with the house, spinning some wheel, like whatever there is, I was doing it. And yeah, I did that for the first 4 weeks of that was like a training course. When they accept you, you got to try and pass that. Once I did that, like the pay was pretty good. I think I was making like $1,000 a week from like 5 shifts. It was really good. But like with anything, you get bored pretty quickly. And yeah, I didn't love it, but I did it because I knew when I compared it to other jobs, it was like way better. And anyway, in your first 6 months of being a dealer, you're a probation period, so you can't really mess up. And I got out of line a few nights. I would go out drinking with like the other dealers, and it was like a Wednesday one night. I got fucked up, and I had work on a Thursday afternoon, and I just woke up and like, this is the most messed up story because I don't even remember the night. I remember being dragged out of the club. I remember throwing up all over the sidewalk. It was just an absolute mess. They threw me in the taxi. I woke up on someone's balcony. And then I went inside, and I had like dry spew all over me. It was disgusting. And I opened the first door to my left because I'm looking for the bathroom right now. And I open it, and the dude laying in bed is someone I couldn't even recognize because he was covered in blood, dry blood, his whole face. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So I freak out, right? So I just run out of the house and jump the fence because I realized I got to go to work in 40 minutes time. I'm still hungover. I'm not even thinking about the fact that I have spew all over me and I have to go to work like this until I realized like I start sprinting to work, stop, and I just start throwing up everywhere again. I'm like, okay, this is disgusting right now. Then I realized I've lost my phone. I've left it at the same place. I don't know where I just ran out of. Anyway, this is a very dark time in my life because this is right when my first girlfriend dumped me. So I was like very depressed, and I was working this job that I didn't really like. So I was drinking every night and all this shit. Anyway, I was very, very lazy back then. Like I wouldn't want to take responsibility for anything. So I remember I got home that day and I didn't even call in sick. I didn't even care. I just wanted to like ignore that shit. So then they eventually called me like later on. They're like, what's going on? And I was like, oh yeah, like I can't remember what lie I used. But I remember my next lie that I used when I slept in and forgot to show up for work. I said that I was in a car accident. And they're like, okay. They're like, okay, don't come into work tonight. I was like, no, I'm fine. I can still make it and I'll just be an hour late. And then I was speaking back to the bosses every now and then. Not intentional. Like I remember one time I asked one of the dealers who I took off a table to tell one of the floor managers that it would be good if I could leave at 7:00 instead of 7:15, right? Because I wanted to go and play pub poker. And I remember the floor manager pulled me aside and was like, who the fuck do you think you are for telling me when to take you off of work, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't mean it like that. Sorry, miss, blah, blah. So she really hated me from the get-go. And that was interesting. And then the third time, I was late for something. I can't remember. They ended up firing me, and I was like, didn't have a girlfriend. I was just dumped. I had no work. I had no way to make money. And I was like, I wouldn't say depressed, but, you know, I just had nothing to really live for like a year. I was kind of just doing nothing, grinding the micro stakes, just having fun, not really improving my game. And the worst part about it was my dad, this is like, comes back to the parents part, is, you know, my dad loved me having a job there because it was a consistent paycheck, but he didn't know that I got fired. So for 3 months, what I would do would be I would grab my laptop and I would meet my friends at the train station and I would go to uni with them. And in university, they'd be in the study room and I'd be next to them and I'd be grinding poker on my laptop. And I'd be playing like $4.50 180 mans, like whatever I could find. I'd be grinding micro stakes. So I did that for 3 months until I told my dad in front of like my whole family, listen, I got fired 3 months ago. Like, this is what it is. I want to play poker for a living. I know it's ridiculous, but it's what I want to do. And my dad was like, not happening. Like, you're out of your fucking mind, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're going to be working with your mother now. Because my mother owns a cleaning business. So she has like 3 or 4 workers for her. He wanted me to do like the heavy stuff. So she does like full rubbish removals, cleans walls, ovens, sinks, skirting boards, steam cleans, like everything, right? So I would grab the carpet machine and I would steam clean the carpets after like spraying it with chemicals. It was the most exhausting, sweaty work. I hated it, Joey, right? It was just the worst way to make $20 an hour. And I was so against that. And my mom, she didn't really care. She was like, listen, like, I don't care if you work or not because you're so young and you got your whole life ahead of you. But like, I have to agree with your father here because, you know, he's your father and I can't be against him here. So you're going to work with me. So I did that for a bit. I'd work with her part-time, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. And it was the worst shit ever. And the worst part was I had to pay rent with them as well. Like, all of us were paying, I think, $100 a week. So what it eventually turned out to was I would work with her at the bare minimum. And all that would happen was like that would cover my rent. So I'd work like once or twice a week. It would cover my rent. And my dad would think that I'm working a lot more with her. But my mom would just give me a pass, like, just stay home tonight. Don't even bother. I was like, thank you, mom. Good stuff. Love you. But she was never fussed about where I was going to like go with life because I was so young, right? And yeah, it was like, I think I did that for like 4 years, like 3 or 4 years. But during those 3 or 4 years, I got another girlfriend and then she dumped me after 2 years. And then I was depressed again. And that was like, I was in a real fucked up state of mind for those, like, I think it was 9 months. And that was when I discovered Twitch. So like, Twitch was so good because it kind of saved me in the sense of like, you know, I had something to do with myself. I got something to wake up for. So I remember like, all right, I get to have, even though 9 viewers are viewing in to watch me stream the microstakes, like that's 9 viewers. Like that hyped me up, right? I got to build this bankroll and have like, I think everyone loves attention, right? I love attention. So I was like, this is perfect for me, right? I got something to occupy myself with now. I got a goal. You know, I'm not just going to lay in bed depressed all day. So like that was kind of like the fire starter, like being dumped, finding Twitch, streaming every day until I got to a point where it's like, hey, I'm over that. I'm loving this so much more now. Like this is sick. So yeah, that was pretty much my 4 years, like going to uni, to grind poker, confessing to my parents that I didn't have a job, working on my mum at the minimum to pay rent, then finding Twitch after being dumped a second time. And then here we are.
I love it. That's a very unique poker origin story that we don't hear much anymore of. Because a lot of people got started playing in college, $50, deposit online, whatever. And you obviously took a much different path with things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would love to play back in those days. I wonder how it was like pre-Black Friday. Like you hear some insane stories. Like imagine if that was still a thing today, and imagine Twitch, how much it would explode.
It would explode for sure.
You know, like you imagine, like the US has 360 million people. You know, imagine of those 360 million, imagine the people who would just start streaming poker because they can play poker now. Imagine the bigger prize pools. Imagine the happier stories. Imagine like the bigger houses, the bigger TVs, the more money, the more parties. Like it would be so sick. I would love that to happen one day. That's my dream. My biggest dream is, being a little bit selfish, is poker coming back to Australia. I would love that. Then I could go back, live with my family, see my nieces, my brothers, my mum. Like I would love that. Right now, I mean, it's only a 5-hour flight, but it's not ideal having to take 4 or 5 days of streaming, take a flight just to see them, and then, you know, see them for like a bit when they have to go to work anyway. You know, there's not much I can do over there. So it does suck in that regard, poker not being in Australia. Hopefully it comes back one day. I have no idea about it. Who knows what's going to happen? But if it does, I'll be a very happy man.
Yeah, what do the parents think about playing now then?
They love it. The funny thing is, my dad was so against it. Now he does not stop talking about me. Like, he talks to his friends at work. Like, when I stop in Adelaide, he will like beg me to come to his work in the middle of the day. He'd be like, introduce me to everyone at his work. This is my son. This is the poker player I was talking about. Like, he's so proud of me. He's like my biggest fan. It's ridiculous. So he loves it now. And then when he hears like I had a big score, he's like, that's incredible. But he still to this day asks me like, okay, but you made this amount of money that day, but how much did you lose? And it's like, no, like I'm accounting for my losses. Like, it's not how it works. So like, he still doesn't quite believe that I give him only profits. And then when I tell him of the sessions, like I'm kind of different with that. When they ask me how it's going, like I get excited about telling them how much money I lost because it's quite funny to see the reactions. My dad would be like, that's terrible. You know, like, how could you, that's absolutely terrible. Like, you lost $10,000 in 1 week. Like, why are you playing this game? So that's pretty funny. But yeah, they both love it now. My mum has always been a supporter. She's kind of just said like, do what you want. You're young. It doesn't really matter. And then now she's like, all right, I'm happy you found something.
Yeah, I think that's how most parents feel. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I think that's how most parents feel.
No, it is true, because you got to show them money, right? Like, until you start showing them results, like they're not going to look at a graph and be like, oh, that makes, they have no what the fuck that. Like, what are they looking at? They see a graph, that could be anything. But you show them like you said on the pod, you show them a new car, or you start making rent, you flash some money at them. Like, that's when they start understanding. For me, it was like, okay, I'm going to move out now. And they're like, okay, with what money? I'm like, I just saved up like 10 grand. I want to move out. So this is what's happening. And it was pretty risky moving out with like 10 grand to my life roll. I told them that I might need rent money if this happens, if I run short. And they're like, okay. Never happened though, thankfully. But yeah, until you start doing something, they're not really going to believe the whole poker thing.
AKA, I show them the fucking receipts, Pav. Listen, parents, family, they fucking respect receipts. You show them the car, you show them some fucking money, you flash money, you talk about living in a different country, traveling. Then all of a sudden, parent, oh my God, oh, fucking Pav, he's doing well. Look at Pat. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's unfortunate that's how it works. But when you look at how we perceive other people too, we look at the receipts. We don't know the intricacies of the makeup world or the intricacies of all these different worlds that people are a part of. We only know job titles or the amount of money they make. So when someone says, I got an office job, well, what's your fucking job at the office? Oh, you're the cleaner, you know, whatever. You're the CEO of the company, or you're the general manager. Then all of a sudden, okay, we respect the titles, and the title is the receipt that we respect. So until you know the intricacies of what exactly a person's professional life is or how they are, all you have to go off of is the receipts. In poker, the receipts are the money you make. That's and exactly the things that you get with those things like that. So if you care about those super things like that, that's what you do. So that's what I did. Worked very, very well. Worked very, very well, Pav.
I love this. Moving out with 10K degen alert. It was pretty risky, but I mean, I was paying like $360 a week in rent, and then, you know, I had utility bills and food and all that other shit, and cars, like petrol and insurance and whatnot. But, you know, I had like a plan. Like, if it didn't work out, my parents were going to cover me for that 1-year lease, and I was going to keep playing poker until it didn't. But like, I got to say, one of the biggest game changers for me was just like peace of mind leaving that house. Cause like my dad would always argue with my brother. Like, they would fight all the time about the most bullshit, about the most like ridiculous things. And it got to a point where they were arguing so loud that it was like, oh, I can't even stream, Joey, because it's going to pick up my mic, and I don't want that. So it was just very stressful living in that household. And, you know, my dad's still like kind of saying like, you know, you need to stop playing poker. It's not working out. Like, you made $50 today. Like, that's a joke, you know, very negative mindset. So like, to see him do this complete like 180 turnaround and be completely on board with what I'm doing, you know, it's nice, but like, it comes back full circle. You need to show them receipts to get any respect out of what you're doing, or if you want any support, receipts first. And here's the thing, right? If you're living off your parents and they're paying your phone bill and they're paying for your food and whatever, unfortunately, you have to do what they say you have to do. You can't just say, no, I'm going to play poker, you know? So like, you got to find time to play poker in your spare time and do what pleases them if they're paying for everything. But until you get to the point where you're like independent and paying for your own things, so maybe your phone bill or paying rent in the house or working a bit with a part-time job, then you can't really do shit. So like, I know that's a big problem with people is they say like, I don't get the support behind my parents for poker. And it's like, well, that's because they shouldn't be supporting you, mate. Like you have no experience. This is a new venture. You're most likely going to lose money. It's going to be a very, very tough road before you become good. So my biggest thing for that would be just get a real job and then play poker part-time until you save up money, maybe take a break and say, listen, like I want to take 6 months off and play poker. You know, this is all while playing poker part-time while grinding a real job. And then when you develop enough skills, you can say, okay, I have a real chance of making like a good 20, 30 Gs playing for this next 6 months. And that would give me a good chance to show my parents, listen, I can make money in poker. Providing, of course, you gain their trust throughout those however many years you started, you know, listening to them and working and doing what they say to do. But, you know, you got to gain trust first before you do these things. You can't just finish high school and then jump into poker and expect them to like be okay with it. It doesn't work like that.
Bringing back memories. Bringing back a lot of memories with this particular topic.
Really? What was it like for you?
Well, I started off when I was 21. I was with my parents still. I think I moved out when I was 21, later 21. But I would go to the casino, I'd lose all my money playing the 1-2 game because I had a regular job. And then my parents thought I was a degenerate. They made me this book. My friend made me a book. Hold on. I'm not sure if I showed the book on the stream before. Hold on. They made me this book, Joe's self-help book for my gambling.
No way. Is that legit or is that like a joke?
It's a serious. My friend Crystal made me this book.
That is fucking crazy. That is crazy.
I made this book for you out of love. I made it because I care about you so much and because you're my best friend in the world. I hope you realize that I hope you don't get mad or take this offensively. I am just trying to help in the best way I know. I want you to get your life on track and I want you to realize all those amazing goals that you have set for yourself. I know you can do it. The only person stopping you is yourself. Love always, your best friend, Crystal.
That's beautiful.
That's
really cool.
The compulsive gambling.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, gambling addiction, problem development. A lot of stuff. And then I will not borrow any money from any of my family or friends. I will get myself back on my own 2 feet. Once I do that, I will pay off any debt that I owe. And then these things for irrational emotional therapy, for compulsive gambling, we as Joe's family will no longer borrow any money or pay for him to do anything because we understand that if we do this, that we are acting as enablers and we do not want that because we care about him. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. This is why is it inside? I didn't sign this shit. What you talking about, man? Not gonna be able to do it. Listen, man, no. One of the best advices I ever did was not following that book. Praise the Lord, Jesus Christ. Our Lord.
That's pretty cool, though. That is really cool to have.
I knew better, bro. Listen, but that was the start. That was the start, Pav. Supportive? No. They thought I was ruining my life. And I saw the book, and I was like, listen, I understand where you guys are coming from, but not going to be able to do it. No. I got the fuck out the house. I moved out of house. Luckily, I found 2+2, and I found Bankroll Management, Pav. Thank the Lord, because Bankroll Management was the number one thing I needed, because once I started playing 5 cent, 10 cent online, okay, you're not losing, 2 buy-ins, you're losing $400 the 1-2 game with the Majestic Star. 2 buy-ins online, you lose $20. Like, it ain't that big of a deal. So I thank God I did not do that. But yeah, my mom hated it. My mom fucking hated it, man. She was like, what are you doing? Like, she was paying my rent for me. It was $281. And yeah, she hated it. She paid my cell phone bill, paid all my bills, basically. I think my car got repossessed back in the day at some point in time too, because I'd lost all my money playing poker. And then luckily I started making a little bit of money on PokerStars, the 5 cent, 10 cent tables. And I built my bankroll up to $1,000 and I quit my job. I said, fuck this. I go, I'm never working again in my entire life. I dedicated my entire life to playing poker. I was like, I'm proving my mom wrong, proving family wrong. I'm never going to get a job again. I'm not working for none of these dumb motherfuckers trying to tell me what to do at the job. Go clean this up. Fuck you, Jimmy. You know what? No, like, because you went to school, you're allowed to boss me around. Like, go fuck yourself. So yeah, man, that's why I was a goddamn animal. I got to prove these people wrong. They're making me self-help books. Like, no, man, well, we got to prove these people wrong. So
it's good motivation, isn't it?
Oh man. I mean, that was the biggest motivator for me, was just to prove my parents wrong, prove these people wrong, prove all the haters wrong on the forums that said, oh, you just break even mass tabling. I was like, all right, whatever, I'm getting Supernova Elite is what it is. I'm going to prove you guys wrong. So that was a big part of my mentality and my mindset for years. And unfortunately, I don't have that as much anymore, because no one really doubts me on a lot of things because they know I'm a psychopath. So having to manifest that motivation and that desire in different ways is definitely a challenge for myself right now. And that's probably why people see spurts of it come and go, is just because that motivation I used to have was manifested through others, and it doesn't exist anymore as much. So it's kind of a little perspective, but yeah, that's the self-help book. I don't actually know if I've ever shown the self-help book on the podcast or not, but it is right by me at all times. So we'll see.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. That's cool.
What do you got planned here coming up, Pav?
What do you mean?
For this month, you said you got the WPT in Auckland. Do you have?
Yeah.
Is there?
I'm going back to Australia for a few days for a wedding. Like one of my best friends, he's getting married, which was pretty insane. And then come back, play some of the WPT, and then straight back to the normal grind. Nothing really changes for me.
And then we will see you in Vegas for the World Series of Poker main event.
Nah, man, that stuff doesn't excite me. A lot of people are like, you're going to go to Vegas, you're playing the main event. I don't care about the main event. I don't care about Vegas. I truly believe that I make more money grinding online from here than I do traveling, flights and accommodation, one tabling, a live event, a 1K, 2K, whatever it might be. I just think there's more money in grinding the high stakes while streaming from here.
Mm-hmm.
If I was spending like a month, or if I spend the whole series over there, yeah, probably make more money that way. But I don't know. I'm pretty motivated to build my stream over being happy grinding live. Not that I will be that happy anyway. It's whatever.
I like it, man. I like it. Obviously, I'll be here for the World Series of Poker, guys. Listen, if anyone's out here for the World Series of Poker, anyone's allowed to say anything to me at all times. If you want to say hello to me, you can say hello to me. If you want to take a photo, take a photo. If you want to punch me in the nuts, I'm going to knock the fuck out of you, and we're going to get into a fight. One of us going to get fucking hurt, okay? But if you see me looking down, give me a hug. All right? That's my advice, Pav, to the people. If they see me looking down, just give me a hug, man. Cheer me up a little bit. It's a draining fucking summer out here, okay? It's 135 degrees. It's hot. Pav's going to be in the comfort of his own home over there in New Zealand, grinding the fucking 531 rebuy or whatever. What's it called? What's it called? The
530 bounty hunter?
530 bounty hunter, exactly. The bounty builder, the bounty man, the venom hunter, whatever it's called like that. I can't keep track of these goddamn tournament names anymore. Lucan said Alan will have a girl after he comes back from the wedding. It doesn't sound like a girl is going to be very GTO for his overall approach to poker right now. I'm gonna be honest.
I think girls are very GTO, but a girlfriend is not my approach. I have a friend, but I'm not looking for a partner, a long-term thing.
You're married to poker, right? You're dating poker.
Yeah, I love poker too much.
Man. Poker's a bitch sometimes, for sure. I always look at it like that. I was married to poker for years. That was my wife. That was my girlfriend. That was my mistress. That was my second girl. That was my everything.
Mm.
And I think I don't know, maybe you have to be. You have to be to get to a certain point, and then maybe from that point, people.
If you want to be great at anything, like having a relationship doesn't help for that. Like, does it? Right. It's like I can't imagine. Yeah, it's just not for me. Like, I mean, I had a girlfriend for like 3 to 6 months, a year and a bit ago while streaming, and oh my goodness, there was so much stress in the life, man. Like streaming was my way to get away from her. It was fucking crazy. But yeah, that was a very stressful time. I just don't like. I mean, there are obviously the right girls out there, but overall, I don't want anyone mixing with. I don't want anyone to tell me don't stream today. I want to go to the beach. I want to go to a restaurant.
Even making you feel bad for it too.
Yeah, don't make me feel bad for fucking completing my passion here, you mental case. Like, that's ridiculous. Go find your own passion. I'm gonna support you. Don't take that away from me just because you're fucking bored. Jesus, can't stand women like that.
How dare you want to spend time with me, lady? How dare you want to see?
Yeah, that's disgusting. Leave me alone.
Disgusting. Leave fucking Pav alone. Don't fucking message Big Poppy Pav over there. The man's trying to stream 6 days a week. You want to see him? Are you fucking on drugs? What's your problem, lady? I'm sorry that I'm irresistible with my beard. All right, and my glasses. I'm sorry. I get it. My passion and energy for life is irresistible. I understand, lady. Leave me the fuck alone, okay? Is that what you say?
Pretty accurate, Joe. It's pretty accurate. I mean, I didn't say that because I didn't want to. I wanted to save the argument part and then avoid the tears and that. So I just kind of held it all in until I was like, listen, this is not going to work anymore.
Do you need me to clip this out and send it to you and you just send it to them?
Well, yeah, in the future, that would be really good, actually. But I'm not going to be as naive to pick beauty over brains next time. That's for sure.
Wait a sec. What? You're not going to pick beauty over brains?
No, I've done that on my whole. I mean, I probably still will. It would be like a good balance. It's not going to be like so polarized this time.
So you're saying you choose the very attractive women, but they're also kind of dumb.
they're not dumb. They're just crazy. You know, like they're very self-centered and really care about their looks. And if they ever want to offer an input on like some subject, it's just like the most basic input that's already been, you know, dished out 100 times and just refiltering it. You know what I mean? Like there's no, I don't pick the girls that offer like a different outlook, something refreshing, and I need to start picking them. But it doesn't matter because I'm not looking for a girl right now.
Perkins taught me about this. You gotta, if you're meeting only women that are fucking crazy or that fit into this criteria, you're meeting them in the wrong place, and you have to decide ultimately what kind of woman you want to meet, and then you have to go to the places where that woman hangs out at. And when Perkins told me that one time in a conversation, I called him up. I go, Perkins, bro. He's like, here's what's going on. He's like, listen, Joey, this is all your fault. I said, true. Okay. It's like, you got to be, if you're meeting these only type of women, these people you're meeting, it's all your fault. You're meeting the wrong ones. You got to be honest with yourself about what you want out of a person, out of a relationship. Okay. If you don't want a fucking crazy person, you got to say, I don't want a crazy person. Then you got to stop meeting the crazy people. You got to go where the crazy people are. If you don't go where they're at, you're just going to keep meeting them. What kind of woman's going to find you when you're sitting at home all day long? Well, probably a fucking crazy one, right? I said, oh, that's a good point. So once he kind of put into that perspective for me, yeah.
What's the most healthiest, like what's the longest relationship you've had, Joey? And where did you meet her?
Not long. I think it was a girl that I dated in San Diego. I met in my apartment complex at the pool when I was
really
grinding poker all day long. Yeah. I didn't stray from home very far away back when I was in my 20s, man.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the longest ones, about a year and a half or something like that. But I've always been, I've always, even a lot of my relationships I had in the 20s, I told them, like, listen, like, poker's my everything. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to get to. And the effort I'm going to put into a relationship is not going to be as strong as a lot of people want back. So that's why at some point I just said, I'm done. And I stayed single for about 4 years until last January. Last January was the first time I dated a girl in about 4 years on a serious level. So I was just, yeah, we could argue if that's GTO or not, but I certainly had fun in those 4 years, but no, I didn't meet anyone I wanted to be serious with. So,
I mean, it's all about happiness versus money, right? These days.
For me,
for everyone, I think it should be, at least. I mean, for me right now, it's like, it's probably, I don't know what it is. I mean, like, I don't care about making money anymore. I care about producing content and reaching a level on Twitch and poker, right? So I care about improving my game and improving my streaming and reaching high levels there. But, you know, at what point should it be, okay, it should be happiness first above money, or like, not how rich you are, how happy are you instead? You know, like, I know Gary Vee preaches this all the time. Like, he wants people to start saying, like, how happy are you? Or like, are you happy over, do you have X amount of money? Mm-hmm. You know, like, what is the point where you just stop and say, okay, I'm overworking myself. The direction I'm heading in, yes, I'm making bank, but like, is this really what I want? Like, am I just like going through this kind of miserable grind every day, or like, what is it? Because I feel like if I was feeling the same way right now and I wasn't streaming, I was just playing poker, I would stop. But the reason I'm streaming is I'm working towards something. I've already put 4 years into something. I don't want to stop now. So like, at what point do you just kind of say, okay, I need to like pull back on a few things and start looking on the happiness outlet of life?
I think that's the point I am at this past maybe year or two. I think what just happens once you've been doing something for a long time, and once you reach your goals at that thing that you're doing as well, and once you start learning about what else is out there and develop different desires for things, I think that's the point where maybe you start to consider that concept idea. I know that's for myself personally, but I know Gary Vee, he's hilarious, man. Do you want to be happy?
It's like he's recycling the same content,
bro,
isn't he? But like, it's the same thing all the time. It's just like, you know, different day, maybe like refilter the words a little bit, but it's the same message all the time. But at the same time, like, it gets views, it's motivating, it's cool to watch. But like, you know, it's the same thing. He's like,
the other day was my funniest fucking Gary video I've ever seen in my life. He said, the guy asked him, do you do Adderall? You must do Adderall. He's like, Adderall? I don't do Adderall. I have gratitude. I take gratitude. I'm thankful. I'm happy. I'm just happy. I'm thankful. It's gratitude. I'm like, what the fuck kind of answer? Those are ridiculous. Do you take Adderall? No, I do gratitude. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man?
Yeah, he loves to preach being high on life and being grateful for what he has. And yeah. I don't know. He probably like gets really high off of all the videos, like all the views he gets as well, right? Like that must be like a really good feeling being like at the near top of Instagram, right? Getting all those views, and I mean that seems like a pretty good high to me. Like, do you think you would have the same feelings if he wasn't well known? If he was just like, you know, on some island, not doing this content, but still making the same money? Probably not.
So, no, I don't know. It's a good question. You pop that addy, I live on that graddy. Yeah, that's what he said. It's, I feel like we've covered everything. Is there anything else happening in poker we didn't cover?
Nah, man. I think that's it. I think we're just kind of going in circles now.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of things here, guys. Guys in the chat, I'm going to be back tomorrow. New podcast at 4 p.m. Eastern time with Jared Jaffe. Very colorful character, tournament player, a lot of tournament success and cash game success too. Next Monday, Barry Greenstein, the Legends back, and I won't be talking much, I'm sure, during that one. Tuesday, my boy Big Bet Berkey, the Alpha Reg, Matt Berkey, one of the very high stakes player. He's got a big summer coming up, and he's one of my favorite people to talk to. We're going to be talking with him, and then Sasha will be on as well too next week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. We're going to figure out a day for that. Sasha, my girl, Poker Sasha. And that's it, man. Be back tomorrow. If you want to follow Pav, you can follow him on Twitter at ALLinPav. I hope that's your fucking name on Twitter, right?
Yeah, it's ALLinPav on everything.
Good. ALLinPav on Twitter, ALLinPav on Instagram. He posts a lot of stuff on his Instagram story as well too. And of course, you can find him on Twitch 6 days a week, and you can find him on the YouTube streets, posting some content occasionally once in a while. And sure, sometimes he'll post a video of highlights from 7 months ago. It's okay. It is what it is. At least he's posting the highlights, okay? At least he's posting the highlights. Listen, I respect the passion to go back and still post the highlights, okay? Thank the fucking Lord. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, smash that motherfucking like button right now. Choke slam. Throw it down on there. Ground and pound it like you're Habib Nurmagomedov. Ground and pounding Michael Johnson at that UFC where you buried him in the corner and just beat the fuck out of him for 3 to 5 rounds and talk to Dana White.
Nice,
so, classic match. Body. I'm not gonna. I know what that means. Yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm not gonna say what that means. But yeah, guys, I got a lot of love for everybody out there. Scott Martin, Dexter, Mark Rubin, Pat Mill. All I want, Jay Smith, my man, Jay Smith 84. Let's shout out to Big Jay Smith. I like that guy more. Shout to PLP. Poker loving Pertouche. No one loves poker more than Pertouche. Landon Tice, of course. Harbs, of course. Poker SN Go. That's it, Pav. Much love for coming on, brother. We'll be catching up with you sometime in the near future. I predict big things to come. I mean, we're already on a great path right now, brother. It's only getting started. So I look forward to what you can accomplish, my friend. It's going to be exciting to follow along.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you for having me, mate. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you posting the results, wins and losses, my friends. It's a very rare thing for people to do that these days, and I think it makes it more exciting for someone like myself and for other people out there to follow too. So it's a really cool thing. But guys in the chat, if you want to watch this back, go back to the beginning or watch on iTunes, search Poker Life. That's it. Peace out.